Freedom Worldwide Podcast. All right, we're live. This is the very first episode of Freedom Worldwide Podcast. And our very first guest, Marco.
How's it going, man?
What's up? I just met you like 2 days ago in the stairwell of our apartment.
Yeah.
And because there was an Amazon package delivered to my door. And they're like, yeah, your neighbor's not home. Can you
Yeah.
keep this package for your neighbor? And I was like, sure. And like 3 or 4 days went by. I was like, does this guy just not want his Amazon package? So I knocked on your door. I was like, hey, bro, do you want your package?
Yeah,
And you were
yeah.
like, oh, yeah, those are some like ramen noodle bowls.
Yeah, I thought I was actually knocking on my neighbor's door. I didn't think it was you like upstairs.
Okay.
Because they always leave it with, the guys in front of my house.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna eat noodles
Yeah.
anytime soon. So I mean, the guy's not answering, so I thought, okay, just leave it. But
Yeah.
ended up in your house.
Yeah. Well, luckily
Yeah.
I decided to finally go knock on your door and give you your ramen bowls. But when I met you, you told me a few interesting things about yourself. You were telling me you're from Venezuela, but you
Yeah.
lived in the Canary Islands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was born in South America, and when all the crisis started in Venezuela, we had to leave the country. So my father left first.
Yeah. What year was
Um,
that? Sorry.
2006 we started kind of thinking on leaving,
Wow.
and back then was still Hugo Chavez alive,
Mm.
and it started to get pretty bad. Like insecurity, a lot of people getting killed on the streets, like a lot of students. Well, I have a few friends that students are friends
Mm.
friends of them are still missing.
Wow.
Probably, don't know, something pretty bad happened to them, because you protest on the streets, and the police reprimand you, and some people got killed, and 28 students got killed. So
Wow.
my parents were like, okay, this is enough.
Mm.
Because my whole family in Venezuela, they immigrated from Canary Islands, so they're actually Spanish.
Oh, so your family was originally from Canary Islands, and then they went to
Yeah,
Venezuela.
Exactly,
And then
my
they went back.
grandparents.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean the civil war in Spain, so they
Mm.
moved to Venezuela. It was a pretty massive, bunch of
Yeah.
thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people from Spain going to, especially from Canary Islands, going to South America,
Mm. Mm.
looking for for better opportunities and stuff.
Yeah, well, not many people know about the history of Spain. My wife is
Mm.
Spanish, so I had the opportunity to learn about it.
Mm.
And I actually wanted to go back and ask you what all the protests in Venezuela were about, but just remind me to come back to that. But basically, Spain in World War II, Spain was going through a civil war.
Hmm.
So, like, that Spain often is kind of just not mentioned that much whenever you hear about World War II, like, history. It's kind of like a bit of a weird one because they had a dictator.
We
Or
had our own Hitler, kind of. Well,
they
not
had their
really,
own
but
Hitler,
not
Francisco
really, but
Francisco Franco,
yeah, Franco.
and they were going through a war between the fascists and the communists inside
Yeah.
of Spain at the same time that World War II was going on.
Yeah.
So Franco was technically supposedly an ally of Hitler's, but they weren't that active in the war because they're off to the side of Europe and they were busy having inward fighting in the Civil War. And the
Yeah.
crazy thing is that when World War II ended, obviously Hitler was taken out, Mussolini was taken out, all the
Yeah.
ones that were part of the Axis powers. And then, but because the USA's the USA started a kind of a new war on communism as soon as World War II ended and fixated their attention on Russia. But the fascists in Spain won against the communists.
Hmm.
So America was in this new war against communism, and I guess it just suited America not to remove a fascist dictator who was against communism already.
Yeah.
So they just kind of conveniently left him in there.
Hmm.
And then he was a dictator until 1975. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, so the people were in a pretty bad situation.
Mm.
there was a lot of distress on the streets. You couldn't go out. Yeah, basically our own kind of little, uh, yeah, like Germany, I guess. But so yeah, they left Spain looking for new opportunities and stuff. And well, Venezuela's a very rich country. We have, like, in terms of
Oil and
what we have,
resources.
resources. I think is one of the richest in the world. We have everything.
Yeah.
Um, but the problem is the people. The problem is the people that are administrating those resources. And um, yeah, so they went there. They made a lot of money, and with the businesses they started in South America, they came back to Spain, and they built a lot of well-known kind of towns, or I don't know how you want to say that, towns or
Pueblos.
small cities, pueblos
Oh,
and stuff.
yeah.
Um,
Villages or towns. Yeah.
yeah, it's a big controversy because, well, not controversy, but like people, Spanish people that are pretty ignorant. They like to say that we don't owe anything to anybody in South America,
Mm.
but you're not really owing anything to us, but to the own Spanish people that went to
Mm.
Venezuela, made their wealth there, and then came back to their own country to just go back to your own country. And as I mean, most of the people are pretty happier in the country they're from, usually,
Mm.
as I think it should be. Like, if you're born somewhere, I think you should be the happiest there.
Mm.
But obviously you're looking for different opportunities and stuff. And well, here, for example, in Aberdeen, is like, it's not the best weather,
Yeah.
but you're pretty happy because with one job you can actually live, you can sustain yourself. In Spain, it was pretty tough
Yeah.
because you end up having like four jobs, and you cannot have
Yeah.
you pay so much tax. And but yeah, like, well, going back to that, so yeah, we moved to Tenerife in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
And
Tenerife is in the Canary Islands,
the
for
Canary
anyone who doesn't
Islands,
know. And
yeah.
the Canary Islands are like a chain of islands off the west coast of Africa.
Yeah.
So it's
Archipelago. Yeah.
it's an archipelago, right?
Yeah.
It's like volcanic islands, and it belongs to Spain. It's technically part of Spain. Big holiday destination for British people and lots of European countries.
Yeah.
But so yeah, Marco's family lives in Tenerife, or are from Tenerife, or they're originally, his old grandparents were from there. They moved to Venezuela. His parents.
Yeah. Tenerife and La Gomera as well. It's another island.
And where, sorry?
And La Gomera is another
La Gomera.
island.
Is that also part of the Canaries?
Another island, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So his family moved back to the Canarias whenever the Venezuela crisis hit. But that's what I wanted to ask you about. So in 2006, when your family left to the Canaries, what was that crisis? What was like the main cause or catalyst for that crisis? Like what happened? Not a lot of people know about that.
In Venezuela, you mean?
Yeah, in 2006. Yeah.
I think it was a chain of events, to be honest. There was too much poverty. There was lack of food. There's lack of jobs. There was too many people assassinated on the streets. The how we call them, malandros. They have the guns and stuff. So it's like you're insecure everywhere you go, and yeah, you just cannot live. You if you go out, you have to know who you have to your right hand side, to your left hand side, behind you.
Wow.
Like 100 meters from you. You have to be always like, I could get robbed at any moment. And
Zero security
And
whatsoever. Just constant fear.
some people would say, okay, there's these massive YouTubers. They go to South America, like Luisito Comunica is like a massive YouTuber, and he just goes to these countries and whatever. There's many other YouTubers. They go into the very dangerous, and they don't look so dangerous. But you're not from there, so you really don't know how things work because they know you're not from there. But when you're from, you've lived all your life in a place like that, and you cannot know how things work. But
So it's
Yeah.
more dangerous for the locals. Like, yeah, I see videos of like Kurt Kaz or like Bald and Bankrupt or
These
these
guy.
YouTubers.
it's fucking
They like
crazy guy.
they go into these like really dangerous barrios or neighborhoods, and people like they kind of make it seem as if it's safe. like, oh look, nothing happened to me, but they're also carrying a camera, like a secure, almost like a security camera, like, hey, I'm filming everything. So
Yeah.
in a sense, and also they're a gringo, they're like a white guy.
Yeah.
So
crazy, man.
they probably have that aspect of like, we don't want to mess with that because we'll get the, but basically probably this two-tier policing, right? I bet the police would probably really investigate a tourist death, but maybe just the local people don't get that much protection from police, or the police don't care as much, or what?
I mean, I don't know, man. It's like it's very hard because the way things work there, like they really don't care if you're not you're dead or whatever. Like
Mm,
it's just like another another
a
person.
number,
That's
just
it,
another number.
you
It
know?
happens all the time.
And it's South America, man. It's just fucking wild
Wild
thing.
West.
It's like no, it's not like here something happens on the street here, which man, you chose one of the worst streets in Aberdeen.
Yeah, this
We also
street's
did.
crazy. This street is crazy, dude. We get like, there's just like junkies on it all the time, and
Yeah.
there's like just so much action happening on the street. It's considered like quite a rough
Yeah.
area, but nobody seems to bother me. I mean,
Yeah, same. Yeah.
I mean, it seems like it's like the junkies fight each other,
Yeah, exactly.
or, and I mean,
You cross the street and they're fucking
yeah, and then it's like also this is kind of like the ethnic area of Aberdeen. Like you get all different ethnicities. You have Spice of Asia shop, you have tandoori shops, you have Romanian shops, you have like everything. So like this
Yeah.
is and I'm an immigrant. I'm
Yeah.
from United States. This is like where they put all the immigrants, and you're an immigrant. You're from
yeah.
Spain, so
I mean,
just like
but like if something happens here, they have CCTV, which is like the the cameras.
yeah,
on the
yeah.
street.
Most places have CCTV.
So that like, but in Venezuela, like in South America,
There's no
nothing
cameras.
Really. Like obviously in the States it would be different on everywhere.
Yeah.
In certain areas of Caracas, maybe in
Yeah.
I don't know, wealthy areas, whatever, they might do that,
Yeah.
but it's like a private thing. It's not like it's
Mm.
not owned by the government or anything.
And that's the thing.
Yeah.
The UK is definitely one of the most surveilled countries on earth. I mean, there's cameras everywhere. You're just like, yeah, you're just like you're being watched everywhere.
Every
I'd say,
corner.
they say it's, I mean, surely China is one of the most surveilled places now on
Yeah.
earth, but it's between China and the UK, basically.
Mm.
I mean, I'm sure they're the most, and the US doesn't have as much surveillance as you might think. Like
Mm.
around private businesses, maybe the city center, yeah, but there's so many like suburbs and little shop.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess there's some video cameras, but here there's just like random video cameras on like every street corner,
Yeah.
and you're like, who? I mean, you guess there's some public ones, some private ones, but
Yeah.
I guess there's like intersections. There's like a massive globe camera
They track
there.
you down.
Yeah.
If somebody stole your bike or whatever, like you just go to the police and
Yeah.
they track the exact moment when you came with the
Wow.
bike
Yeah.
and with the person that took it back
Yeah,
to
yeah.
where they live or wherever they left it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if you go far away from to the countryside or something,
Mm.
that would be maybe a problem.
Yeah.
But they could figure how to find you because obviously there's only a few places
Yeah.
you could go and there's CCTV everywhere.
Definitely, yeah. So, I mean, there's definitely a big deterrent here. But I mean, I guess if you're not doing anything wrong, then you don't have anything to worry about.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess I still want to try to understand the situation. And so Chavez was the previous president,
Yeah.
and he was, I mean, how long was he in power for, Chavez? From what year did he kind of get in, more
Okay,
or
I
less?
remember when I was little kid, I was in like preschool or something. It was 1998
Okay.
when he got elected. I think 1999. If I
Okay.
remember.
So like
I
right
think
around.
98, and yeah, there's still up to this day they regret from everyone that voted for Chavez not having voted for Maria Corina Machado. She was the person that is representing the opposition today.
Mm,
She kind of was the other option that Venezuela had,
mm,
and I say we. I was too little to vote, but
yeah.
we as a country decided for him,
Okay.
being
And what was he like?
a military. I can't remember if he was a colonel or something,
Okay.
but it was a pretty
He was like a
pretty
troop-
high rank, and
Sorry.
there were some pretty bad things they did. They wanted to take the power by force, and yeah,
Yeah.
people voted for him instead of for, just normal citizen.
But he
I
actually
guess.
got voted in. He did not take the power by force.
No, no, no. I mean, they. I can really remember because obviously, I was very little when all this happened, and um, you study history up to some point, but then the most recent history, there are a lot of details missing. I
Yeah.
guess it would happen the same everywhere. Like certain things, the only things that are published or whatever,
Yeah.
like communicated through the media.
And sorry, yeah, I shouldn't. I should
But
best clarify. I don't. Marco is just my neighbor. I met him yesterday, and so I'm kind of grilling him right now. I invited him over, and I just said, "Hey, bro, we're doing a podcast," and he's like what? And I said, well, "Let's just do it. We have to
Huge,
start
man.
somewhere." So I'm putting
Just
him
let
on
me
the
set that.
spot. So I'm asking him quite a lot of questions, and yeah, Marco has not told me that he's an expert on the history of Venezuela or anything. So he's just giving us his best
Yeah.
recount and his best to the best of his knowledge of what he knows about it because of his experiences. So, nobody grill us for our historical accuracy.
Yeah.
We're just trying to have a conversation about what we know about and see what we can Google it. Actually, we have Google. Should we Google it? Okay, guys. Sorry, we like I said, we are like this is the first podcast, and I don't have any tech experts, so I set this all up myself. And whenever I went into Safari to Google what year Chavez got elected, it cut off the stream. So we're just gonna Google on our phones right now until we um, figure out that glitch and how to make it better. But we found out that he got elected in '98
Yeah, 98, yeah.
with like 56% of the vote. Then he got elected again in 2000 and 2006. But then Marco told me that only the first election was likely legitimate. The next two
Yeah.
elections were probably like rigged.
The second election, well, it was most likely legit as well,
The second one was
because
possibly
you
legit.
you started to see not. I'm probably wrong here because I was a kid, and I didn't know, I wasn't very much into politics or whatever, and of that era. I think people from Venezuela of that age got very grew up pretty quickly because of the circumstances that you're growing up
Yeah.
around with, and I don't know. So I think so when he got first elected, there were still changes being made, and he was just showing his own personality, and you would see things done maybe around, and then I'm 100% certain the ones in 2006 were
We're rigged.
were stolen, yeah.
Okay.
For sure, because there was too many people on the streets protesting, and you could see the opposition ones were like massive, millions
yeah.
of people on the streets,
Yeah.
and the other ones
Yeah.
were not really. Yeah, I don't know.
It
And there's
kinda-
also a lot of things that you can actually. This is like factual. You can look it up on videos on YouTube and stuff. And I'm not sure if they're still out there, but for those elections, people from the militia, they stole the boxes where they put the votes,
Oh, wow.
the tickets, and random people found hundreds of these boxes dumped in,
Wow.
I don't know, like random places, so they could they knew that on these electoral kind of centers, the majority of the people was going to be voting in pro of opposition.
Yeah.
They would just get rid of all these boxes.
Oh, like certain
thousands
areas,
of
like
boxes.
they say, oh, this area is all going to vote for the opposition. Let's just go steal the boxes there and dump
Because
them in the
certain
river.
areas, it's the same in I guess in America, in the US,
Yeah.
like certain states are pro one party or the other,
Yeah,
right? And
they're
then
more likely to be Republican, or even counties. You can go down to the county level.
counties,
There's
and then neighborhoods, and then
Yeah.
and then little towns or whatever, and then, well, they're not stupid, so they go to these places that people are less in poverty, because the people in poverty, they're usually the most ignorant,
Yeah.
right? You don't have access to education,
Yeah.
and you just get convinced very quickly that this person in power is going to give you free food, is going to give you a box with tuna,
Yeah.
rice, whatever, every month, and then, well, yeah, for people that don't have anything,
Mm.
this is like, okay, I'm voting for you because you're actually, keeping me alive.
Mm.
But is a common thing of communist kind of socialism, and
So they'll basically just like Chavez would just take care of the most basic needs of these really poor people who thought that that was great. Like, so they'd be like, "Oh, great! I'm getting a can of tuna from Chavez is making sure that at least I get a can
more
of
or less
tuna."
like that, yeah.
So it's like he was basically just bribing everybody with
Yeah,
cans of tuna, like or whatever, just like basic
buying their
food
votes,
needs.
yeah.
But just giving people the bare minimum, and then they got so used to that being like acceptable that that became
Yeah.
like the optimal choice for them. That's crazy. So they basically got people's standards down so low,
Yeah.
and then they made people think that what they were getting was a good deal
Yeah.
somehow.
I mean, yeah, for people, living in this kind of, uh, I mean, it's a very sensitive, sensitive,
Sensitive topic.
sensitive kind of topic
Yeah.
because, um, not
Yeah.
only my father used to tell me stories, but we used to live in a neighborhood like this a little bit. So
Mm.
we were not considered, because we were Spanish and we had a massive house. We lived on a 12 floor house that
Wow.
my Spanish grandparents they built with
Wow.
my uncles and my father.
Crazy.
So we all live together. It's like a Spanish actual, it's
Wow.
like a Spanish casa or something like that, and we all had our own kind of floor,
Wow.
and it was the best thing for me. One of the best, memories because it was so big. You, as a kid, you can go everywhere, and
Mm.
you have gardens and you have whatever, and then you can just it's like
Yeah.
a little park.
Yeah.
But then other people were living literally next to us, like you're living in favelas.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
it was actually it was not the worst area, but I can tell you that 3 minutes walking, or maybe 3 minutes by car, or 5 minutes by car, you can get to very dark places, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
and to access this neighborhood, for example, you had to go through very hard, like very dangerous, like
Mm.
areas, and yeah. So I think, I don't know. We were pretty lucky that my parents, I don't know, they, well, coming
They had some
from
foresight. They were
being
like, "This
an
is not getting
immigrant,
any better." Yeah. They're like, "This
yeah,
is not
they
good."
just, we have to do something, and they kind of, they made the decision to leave. My grandparents, they never wanted to leave because obviously they went to Venezuela
Mm.
with money,
Mm.
and they wanted to live there. It's like I'm coming here to the UK,
Mm.
and I'm finding, it could be a better place, right? So I'm just setting something here up for me and my family,
Mm.
and this ends up being a fucking communism. So it's like, it's very unfortunate, and my grandparents did not want to leave because they built that with their own hands.
Did they end up
I
staying, or
uh,
did they leave eventually?
yeah.
Oh, they did.
So there's
Wow.
another long story.
Did they
I
manage to sell the stuff, or did they just abandon it? Like, did anybody want to buy anything there at the time, or was it just like we have to just basically cut our
no.
losses and go?
Um, well, right now there's still family living there,
Okay.
but I managed to, um, yeah. I mean, my grandparents did not want to leave their house,
Mm.
but it was only them and another uncle, living there. So it was, they were pretty much, very very alone,
Mm.
and they're like 70 and 80,
Mm.
80s in the 80s. So they kind of, you need to take care of them, and yeah, you
Yeah.
need to be on top of them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we managed to bring them back to the Canary Islands, so they're
Okay.
now living with my parents in Tenerife.
That's nice.
But yeah, like the general thing is like, yeah, in Venezuela, when people started to realize that, all these things were happening, and a lot of people getting killed on the streets and very insecure, and kidnaps and rapes, and
Mm.
all these sort of things, and it's very hard to find a job, and the universities, which were considered one of the best in all America
Mm.
continent, now is abandoned, is completely derelict, and yeah, I mean,
Just a
people started
total
to realize.
demise.
Yeah.
Total demise. Like the thing,
Yeah.
everything just it was like a crash
Yeah.
basically. Like everything just went down.
Yeah.
There wasn't even a period where things seemed to be like, was it a slow decline, or was it just like in the period? It was just little by little, or
It
was
was
it?
very slow at at the beginning. I would say maybe I'm not completely accurate here because I was a kid
Mm,
and you see things with different eyes, obviously.
mm,
But for a situation like this, you normally, I mean, in other countries,
mm.
you normally see a more a slow kind of
Decline, yeah.
decline. But in the case of Venezuela, I think it was pretty quick.
That's quick.
It was pretty quick, and then it went incredibly
Mm,
downwards,
wow.
like an abyss, straight line downstairs.
And so Chavez was. So what year did Maduro get in? What year was that, more or less? Or we can Google
I
it.
can't even remember when he died.
I thought Maduro's still alive.
No, Chavez.
Oh, Chavez. Okay.
So when Chavez died, obviously, well,
So
Maduro got
Maduro only
appointed.
got in when Chavez died.
Yeah,
Is that correct?
obviously,
Okay.
yeah. This guy is not how you say that fit to sit
So
kind of guy.
yeah. So roughly, what year was it? What? Let's see. Maduro elected. I'm just googling this real quick. I'm not on my phone. Let me see. Maduro elected
First elected, something like
first elected. Yeah. Since 2013. So I guess Chavez died in 2013.
that. Yeah.
And
Well, these are some of the things like you never know when exactly or what exactly happened because you obviously it's not obvious or it shouldn't be like that, but like they kind of try to cover
mm,
what exactly was going on with Chavez because he was in through some sort of like cancer or something,
mm,
but you really don't know what the actual
what actually happened?
circumstances happened.
Was Maduro anybody before Chavez died, or did he just come out of nowhere?
He was, I think, the vice president.
Oh, he was the vice president.
Yeah,
So he
but
was the vice president.
I don't know how he got there. To be honest, he was a fucking bus driver, and there's some speculation of some documents have been released
Mm.
that he's not even Venezuelan, and to
Okay.
be a president, you need to be have been born in Venezuela.
Oh,
Some
it-
people say like Colombia or something.
Yeah, it's crazy because a lot of these things that you're telling me sound like a similar playbook to what's happening in the U.S. recently or other countries. Like,
Hmm.
it sounds like they almost have they have like different playbooks, and they play out these different playbooks at different times in history in different countries. So it's
Yeah.
like, oh, that worked well. When I say they, sorry, I don't know who I'm necessarily speaking about when I say they, but I don't know. It just seems like certain, and maybe I'm talking about nobody. Maybe it's just powerful corporate interests that can pull strings in different countries. Who knows exactly? But it seems like different playbooks get executed in different countries at different times, and you're like, hey, this seems oddly familiar to.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people in the last election were saying, yeah, there were like big boxes full of ballots, like littered in like a river or something, and
Yeah.
without trying to go into, the last election in America, because I'm sure everyone's tired of hearing about that. But yeah, it just sounds like maybe that wasn't the first time something like that had happened in a country.
Yeah.
It seems, and then you wonder, maybe, I don't know. I mean, like I said, nobody can know for sure that's not in the know what's going on, but
There's a precedent. We in architecture, for the first time, I'm telling you, like if I just graduated from architecture undergrad, and we have
oh yeah, so Marco's an
Pretty
architect. Marco's an architect, by the way. He's studying. Are you studying as an architect, or you are an architect?
no, not yet. To be an architect here in the UK, you have to be chartered, and you can only be chartered after you do your masters after your undergrad.
Okay, so
So
you're
it's
close.
a pretty long process, like medicine, pretty much. But yeah, I just finished my undergrad in architecture.
Okay, so you're on your way. You're well on your way to being an architect.
On my way, yeah, hopefully.
Cool.
And yeah, in architecture, we have this pretty common kind of process. The process is the most important part of the whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
and that is something that we go for. Well, everyone should go for and must go through it, which is like a study of precedents, right? So you study a precedent, and if your idea, you need to try to find out if your idea is already out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's one of these things in the world of where architecture is considered the first or the mother of arts
Wow.
for some people, but in the arts and in the design kind of realm, you
I
have
didn't know
these
that.
things that the copyright and is this idea belongs to. Is this already being made or not? Is it, it's like pretty much like a product design, like some sort of. So you go through studying precedents, and you have to study them pretty thoroughly to understand how, if this works or didn't work. Like there's built precedents and unbuilt precedents, like theory and stuff, and you study all these things, and then it's the same. This situation is happening already in Spain.
Mm.
So this is one of the other reasons why I decided to leave Spain, because it was turning into a bunch of people in the government leading the country, which had affiliations with the Venezuelan communism. And for example, Podemos is a party
In Spain, yeah.
that's I mean, it's already out there. Like it's been demonstrated that it had affiliations with Chavism, directly with Chavez. Like
Was that Pablo
deals.
Iglesias? What was
Pablo
that?
Iglesias.
Was he in
and
Podemos?
Yeah,
And
is
he
the
was Venezuelan,
main
right?
character. Yeah, he was also part of ETA. Was considered his father was an etarra. Etarra is like somebody. This is a term used in Spain to refer to people that were part of the terrorist party.
Okay.
Well, it is a very extremist party
Okay.
in north of Spain, but these people were known for putting bombs and like attempts in like Barcelona and other
wow.
places. So yeah, I mean, we have these people in the government.
They
and
managed
this
to
is
work their way up into power, and they
Yeah.
have like records
Yeah.
of like
Yeah,
potential terrorist activity or whatever.
yeah,
That's
it's
crazy.
insane. It's
Yeah, Spain's an interesting place for sure. And just to clarify, when he was talking about studying presidents earlier, I don't think he was talking about president of the United States. You were talking about presidents, the other definition, right?
yeah,
Like,
no, not presidents, but
Yeah.
like presidents.
yeah.
Like
So
all other things that have worked similarly in the past that you can set example. Let's set your example, an example for your case or whatever, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
and just like comparing, like set a precedent, and then see if you can, like, do you need to set a new precedent or evaluate the old precedent, and then whether you make a new precedent or that type of
Yeah, I
precedent.
think it was the pronunciation.
No, I knew what you were talking
Precedent
about.
and precedent. I think it's
I know what you were
It's
talking
probably
about.
that.
I was just clarifying, just in case anybody else didn't pick up on that.
yeah.
But yeah. So Spain's an interesting case. I mean, my wife's Spanish. Spain's a beautiful country. Yeah, I mean it's, and I mean there's lots of beautiful countries. There's Italy, there's Spain, there's France. There are a lot of beautiful places, and but there's, when you're there on holiday, it seems so idealistic. When you're there in Spain on the beach and you're just getting an ice cream, it's like very idealistic, and it's kind of like utopian. But I guess I've never actually lived there for an extended period of time. I was there for COVID, but I wasn't working. I was just kind of living with the in-laws. But it seems as though a lot of people that live there, especially younger people that have had experience. Oh, my wife's at the door. One sec, guys. Oh, God. One second. Hey, baby, I'm in a podcast right now. You're welcome to come in, though. Oh, you guys can speak Spanish, dude.
Or maybe she can come later or something like that.
We'll pull up a chair here. So
This is very weird.
Yeah,
knowing-
I mean,
knowing
she's gonna be
somebody
she's gonna be
first time.
shocked. Yeah.
You're gonna
But-
get to meet somebody first time saying
Yeah.
hello through a podcast.
Marco's never even met my wife before, so he's gonna meet her live on the podcast. Let's see. Let's wait for her.
What the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, she's gonna be like, "What?"
¿Qué coño pasa aquí?
Yeah. So Marco can speak some Spanish with my wife. Is she gonna arrive? Here we go. Deanna, come in here. Deanna? Oh, come in here real
She's,
quick. The podcast is live with Marco.
I think she
Uh-oh.
said she was talking to somebody on the phone.
I'm probably in trouble again, for no reason. But anyway, But I was saying it's an
Taking so
interesting
long.
place. But Spain's a very interesting and beautiful place. But a lot of young people who have lived outside of Spain, like in a I guess a northern European country or America,
Mhm.
they find it hard to go back to Spain to live and work because the wages and the working conditions and stuff just don't seem they're obviously not as good.
Mhm.
And I guess there's maybe slightly more exploitation happening there or something of workers.
Oh
But
yeah.
so I mean, but
Yeah.
it's yeah, I mean Spain almost feels like it's halfway to I mean, I don't know. It's not. It's definitely not. It's getting kind of more similar to like an. There's some aspects of it that are more similar to Northern European countries, and there's some aspects that aren't. But I mean, if you look around the streets here, there's a lot of desperation here. But in Spain, maybe like yeah, a minimum wage job in Spain pays you much less, but the people just in general seem happier. I think it's just because there's sun, even though it's like there's less opportunity. Um, we're on the middle of a podcast. Yeah, you can come in though. You come in. Um, it seems like even though there's less. Sorry, she's on my wife's on the phone with her mom in Spain, as we're speaking.
You put the mom on the basket.
Yeah, here. But yeah. So like,
Um,
what was I saying? That people are still
yeah,
happy there. There's like a
people.
general level. The general community vibe is like happier because in most places I've seen, just even though there's less opportunity, just because people seem to be like, I don't know, maybe it's the weather or the culture. Culturally, Spain's very warm and familiar and friendly, kind of like what I would imagine South America was like before,
Yeah.
or Venezuela, not all of South America. But a
Yeah.
lot of countries in South America have just been decimated by bad politics.
Yeah.
And you look at the people, and they seem like such a warm, loving culture. And it's just so sad how it's been infiltrated by this like virus of
Yeah.
corrupt politics. And you just hope Spain doesn't go the same direction. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. What you're saying is completely true. I think it's like it has to do a lot with like the climate and also the mindset.
mm,
Like people's mindset. Yeah, this is a very clear example how you can change a society or kind of the way people think or they act or they move or they do things
mm,
because you kind of corrupt them through years and years of bad politics and bad kind of administration, and people get tired, and at the moment you can see a lot of Venezuelan people that are very different than we used to be.
mm.
um,
It changes like the
yeah.
population. Yeah.
So yeah, there in Spain, I would say there's a lot of people here. By the way, fun fact: Tenerife is, I think, is number one place for Scottish people to go on holidays to.
Okay.
We have massive amount of people like in Spain coming from here,
Wow.
and they just make a mess. They like to drink a
Yeah.
lot, but
For all my American friends, the British people are very infamous around Europe for being like the worst vacationers. Like they go, they'll just go to. Well, the good thing is that they flock to certain cities. So like I think each country, like in Spain or Italy or Greece, they're like, okay, these are the cities where all the like, okay, Ibiza, we'll just give that to the or Malaga, we'll just give that away to the British tourists, or even some places in Canary Islands, where it's like, okay, let's just seal them off and we'll let them go there, but let's just seal them off and let them go there. But yeah, so the British kind of go there and they're like kind of like British rednecks. They're called chavs over here, which I love. I have a lot of really good chav friends. They're good people. Don't get me wrong, but they love to drink and they love to party and
yeah,
they just love to get rowdy, and then they'll like go to these old like traditional villages or whatever, and or maybe traditional places in these countries and just get wasted and
yeah,
party, and the people there are just kind of got used to it because they like the money that's coming in,
hmm,
and they accept all the vacation money, but they don't really like. It's a big cultural contrast, I guess.
yeah,
The way the cultures are. The British culture is quite. It can be quite arrogant the way they just march into other countries, no pun intended, but for holidays, marching in other countries and just partying like crazy and not giving a shit.
yeah. I mean, I think it's one of good and bad things because obviously they go there, get wasted, but they're the main source of kind of
Income.
tourism kind of business we have in the Canary Islands.
Mm.
We're pure, you know,
Mm.
tourism. We don't have pretty much anything else. We do, but
Yeah.
in terms of like the general kind of view, we live from tourism.
Mm.
So it's like okay, we have to accept these people because they're coming here every year, and there's actually people going there after retirement, so they're literally spending all their money they've made here for 80, I don't know, for 60 years of work,
Mm.
and they spend it there. They buy houses there. They
Yeah.
spend it on pints and
Yeah.
fucking,
Offloading all the.
yeah, whatever it is. And it's a good thing because you can just go somewhere and then that you like and that you love, and then just I think it's the best place to retire. Like I would
The Canary Islands.
if I had like a choice.
Don't let the secret out.
Huh?
Don't let the secret out.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of people from here. They're regular kind of customers or regular visitors
Mm.
of the Canary Islands, but they don't know half of the or even more of the things that we have because they love to go to these resort
Mm.
places which are very expensive. They're made for them.
Mm.
They're made to attract them to get their money,
Yeah.
but then they don't know secret beaches
Well,
that
leave it.
you can literally go and be on your own.
Yeah. Leave it that way.
You have to walk like there's some places in Tenerife you have to walk like 2 hours or 45 minutes. It's pretty rough.
Yeah.
But when you get to this place, it's like literal paradise, and
Yeah.
only us kind of know.
Yeah.
And to some people, like I don't obviously I don't. Most of the people know this, but I don't go telling every young kind of friend or whatever. They just go there to get wasted and to party. That's fine.
Mm.
But then to some old friends, I think it's amazing that they can discover these things.
Yeah.
Our actual food. You just go to Tenerife to have fucking
Yeah.
burgers and pizza, right? There's some people
Yeah.
like to do that, right? You just
Yeah.
You just get a pizza for fucking 30 quid.
Well, I
instead
have a
of-
cousin. You want to hear something funny? And I'm gonna say it on air because I don't care. It's my cousin. I'm gonna shame him on air. So I had a cousin who graduated from Harvard. I want to say as a psychologist. Harvard graduated psychologist. He came to visit me in Spain, and visit my wife and everything, and he was like staying in a hotel, and he was like, hey, come meet us here in the morning. We'll go walk around and everything. I was like, yeah, yeah. So I walked to meet him, and I'm like, where are you at? And he's like, here. We're outside of McDonald's. I thought, oh, he just wants to meet outside McDonald's because it's easy to identify. And we're there, and he's sitting at McDonald's with like a coffee, and there's like all these amazing like rustic coffee shops, like probably like some guy has like a coffee machine there from the 1950s,
Yeah.
and he's been making like the perfect cup of coffee for like 50 years. And then my cousin's there with a fucking McDonald's coffee. I'm like, you idiot. Like, and it's not even that expensive. It's like, it's not like the McDonald's coffee may be more expensive than the Spanish one. Who knows? But I was like, Byron, you jackass. Like, why don't you get a coffee from a
It's
a
actually
local
even more
cafe?
expensive. It's more expensive in McDonald's than Barraquito. Have you
Yeah,
tried
you,
Barraquito?
you can go get coffee for like €1 or like 150 or something in Spain.
Have you tried Barraquitos?
What's Barraquitas?
Barraquito.
No,
Barraquito is
maybe I have. I didn't know what it was, but
yeah, it's a very traditional coffee we do in Spain, where I want to say in Canary Islands, but pretty sure Spain as well. And you have like some sort of liquor inside,
okay.
so it has layers, and it's a pretty
Is it aguardiente? Is that the one where they make it aguardiente?
no.
Okay, I was like,
That's
that
a
would be nice.
crazy.
My
I mean,
My-
the one they do here, the Irish coffee, just black coffee with cream and
Mm.
some Jameson's
it's similar to that, is it?
whiskey, Irish whiskey.
Nice. I'm sure I've had it. I think my grandfather-in-law prepares me all different types of coffee when I'm there, and my Spanish isn't perfect. It's far from perfect. I can like have conversations, but people are looking at me like I'm crazy, because my grammar is quite shocking. But I can hold down a basic conversation. But my wife's grandfather is like 96, and her grandmother is like 95 or 94,
Mm-hmm.
and I go there, and they still live alone. They still more or less take care of themselves. The grandmother was cooking up until like last year, whenever my wife's dad started getting them like ready meals. But they're like 96, and they walk around every day, and they're meeting with friends in the park, and you know, the yeah, just kind of very active and
Mm.
healthy, you know, and just the grandfather always he had. I'm not sure about recently if they've cut him off, but I used to go there and he'd get aguardiente. It's like this hard, really hard liquor in Spain. I don't know what it's made from, but it's like I think it's made from grapes. It's like the ethanol, like the pure liquor from grapes or something. It's really powerful. And he was like pouring me shots of that when I first got there, and he was like in his 90s. But just yeah, going back to I guess uh, yeah, we're talking about basically
Yeah, people's mindsets and
people don't know. Yeah, people go to Spain and
climates,
they
I
just go to
guess.
the party places, but that's better. You know, if I don't, you know, it's fine. Like Malaga's fun. It is what it is. Like I guess some people just like to go and get wasted at a place,
Yeah.
and I would prefer if the people that go to these nice places who just want to get wasted just stay in the place, like they get cordoned off. Like yeah,
Mm.
if you want to go to Spain and you want to get wasted, just go to Malaga. Like, you know, just go to Malaga and get wasted there, and then leave everyone else alone in peace. You know, and the thing is, they don't want to go anywhere else because people. That's the thing. People that want to get wasted go to Malaga because that's where people who get wasted go. Like, people who are getting wasted aren't gonna go. They don't want to go somewhere where there's not a place to get wasted. You know, they
Yeah.
want to go to a place where they're allowed to kind of get shit faced, and it's kind of in Malaga. The police are probably a bit more just like used to seeing that type of shit, and they're just like, well, this is where this happens type thing, and just they probably maybe have a bit more lenience for it,
Mm.
possibly. But
Yeah. I mean, going back to that, like point of the mindset and stuff. Yeah. So it's great to. I don't know. You figure that when you leave your country and you go somewhere else, like we're doing here,
mm,
um, you can trade the bad weather for a more economical kind of how you say that.
lifestyle, or
Yeah, like you have with one job you can sustain yourself.
yeah, yeah,
In Spain is way harder.
mm,
You know, um, yeah, they pay gaps and everything.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean, if it was for me, I would obviously be living maybe back in Venezuela. Like we
yeah.
have a constant 27 degrees Celsius throughout
Wow.
the year, 23, 30, 32. I think in some places obviously it's very hot, in some
Mm,
places very cold. But in the main cities, like the main, for example, in Caracas, it's like I think it's 27 degrees or 23
mm.
degrees, and you just go out and you don't need to wear any sweaters or anything. Maybe at night, maybe,
Just t-shirt, you know.
and it's always sun shining and beaches in the Caribbean and
Yeah, wow.
people happy and stuff. And stuff. Even with the current at that time with that kind of political situation, people were still hopeful. How you call that? How you say that?
Yeah, still hope,
Yeah, man.
still
And
joyful.
the worst thing is like when you see a lot of people like from Venezuelan people, they lose that, you lose that, and you're like, okay, we're done. Like like in Cuba, people
Mm,
are done. Like
mm.
the mindset is completely
Like there's no hope.
is gone.
It's
Like
yeah.
you're broken, and
Mm,
that's pretty tough thing
yeah.
to realize because
You think the Venezuelans are done? The mindset. You think they're broken completely as a people
some people
in
some
terms of the
I
people that
would
are
say
still there.
I would say some people, yes, but none of the things that have been happening, for example, in the when was it, the 18th of this month,
Hmm.
we had the election. There's a massive thing going on right now there.
In Venezuela, there's
Yeah. So
it hasn't been in the mainstream media at all. I mean, surprise, surprise. So
So
don't liberate. They don't want to liberate Venezuela, obviously, or else they would have brought some attention to it.
so very roughly, there was another elections, right?
Mm-hmm.
And millions of people from the opposition, like let's call these ones the white shirts, right?
Mm.
They were on the streets
Mm-hmm.
for days, following Maria Corina Machado, right?
Mm.
Let's go to vote. Let's change this country. We're tired, and millions of people were seen outside that were gonna, they're expressing their kind of willingness to change things, right?
Mm.
Once again, because this happened every election.
Every election since the first one, basically.
Yeah, like yeah,
Yeah.
and you could see in the protest or in the how you call it marcha,
The manifestation,
like
or protest.
like the walks. How you call this? It's not protest. It's like just people going on the street and shouting. They want to vote for whatever.
like
they
a
want.
movement, or like a
It's like a marcha. We call it
like a
marcha.
march, like a
Yeah, march, something like that, or
It
something.
was like a march, like yeah, okay.
Yeah, you just go on the street, with flags or whatever, and the ones from Maduro,
Mm-hmm.
you can count the people with your own. You can count them. There's not too many people.
Yeah.
And then the opposition, they were insanely clever, but because they said, I want to try to, through all this, kind of news that I've been seeing online, to explain the best I can. But I'm sure there's a lot of things here like to explain, and we can maybe go through these videos or whatever.
Mm.
It's insane. They have set a system that for you to vote, you obviously have to do it through the process that the government puts there, which
Mm.
is the system that is rigged,
Yeah.
right? There's also some things linked to the US with this, because some of these machines at first were brought from the US,
Wow.
and then the new ones, well, these ones are brought from China apparently.
Yeah. Yeah.
And okay, so there's a way you can rig this, these things, and then, well, the way we've been doing it is, okay, we're gonna do it by hand
Yeah.
again as well. And then on these tickets, you can see your name. You can see the amount of votes that have been happening on that kind of house of voting house.
Mhm.
On that parroquia, which is like and then
A
a
party.
county, and then a state, and then
Okay.
so on and so forth. But each of these tickets from each person had to be signed by 4 different, like, commissioners, or how you
Wow.
call these, like, guards.
Uh-huh.
And then on each ticket there is a QR code that links, that has a key.
Mm.
And I'm not, like, I have no idea about computational kind of, or informatics, or anything
Mhm.
anything like this, but these QR codes have a very specific key that has a very specific message in it,
Mhm.
and is linked to that specific QR code. So when you scan that QR code, you need a key to open it,
Okay.
and that key can only open that QR code, and only that QR code can be opened by that key. So
Okay.
that key is held by, let's call it the entity that is taking care of the elections, right?
Yeah.
Which is supposed to be
When you say
separate.
key, is it like an electronic key or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
it's like a password or some
Okay.
sort of. It's more complicated than that, because it has like, well, programming. I don't know. It has so many things inside. I don't know
Like
how
a
to explain
code,
that.
yeah, or something.
But it opens, it opens a box that has certain message, right?
Okay.
And that message can only be read with that key.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
pretty complicated.
kind of
It's-
understand it, yeah.
It's maybe not complicated, but for me, like, to explain, it's like I'm
Yeah.
not. I don't know.
So
any of
basically,
these.
on each voting ticket, it needs to be signed by 4 commissioners. There's a QR code, and then that QR code gets scanned,
Yeah.
and that has to get opened by a key from some other
Yeah.
location, like server
Yeah.
location, and then that has to be opened from another.
So
There's like a few steps to the process.
So there's the electronic vote, and then there's this other thing happening that we have set up for
Uh-huh.
us to cover our backs. And the only way. So let me go back to this.
You say that the
I'm gonna do
opposition
a
is this for the
parenthesis.
opposition that's setting this up? or-
Well, this other thing, this new thing with the QR code thing, like this, this never happened before. This is something like they have implemented to kind of prove that what the government says is actually what the tickets say.
Mm.
You know, okay, if 51% of the population have voted for Chavez, you can see it on the whole electronic kind of history of who voted,
Okay.
where he voted,
Yeah.
and how many people before that person voted,
Okay.
etc. So this
So
there's
like a blockchain,
yeah.
almost like Bitcoin. They're
You
like
cannot
making
you
a voting
cannot
blockchain.
you cannot rig this because it's you have to it's like
Mm.
a proof over proof kind of
Yeah.
process. So in order for the government to assert that Maduro had won, you had certain amount of hours in which these separate commissioners from the government or from this entity, they have to count the votes. You can call it count the votes, and then they have to correspond to what is recorded on these electronical devices, and then it corresponds to the physical tickets.
Okay.
So they have not demonstrated this within the legal amount of hours there are in the they've been set up in the constitution for
So that was
for it to be a valid election. So
okay. So they basically all
they cannot prove it.
the implementations that they put in, they
Yeah.
implement. So the opposition put in a bunch of
Yeah.
a bunch of implementations to make sure that it was fair, and they said that it had to basically take place between this hour, with this many signatures, and it has with this many like. Basically, they set in the parameters that they could tell if the election was rigged or not.
It has
Is
to
that correct?
it has to correspond. Everything has to correspond to be valid, right? It's
Okay.
like
And it didn't. It didn't correspond. Is
no,
that correct?
it didn't. Not only it didn't correspond, but it never happened because they obviously cannot rig it because
Wow.
they have the key, but they don't have the system to. They cannot change the key. It's only one key for all these things to be opened, and they can only change the information inside this box if they redo the whole thing. So they cannot.
Okay.
So the opposition also did.
And so, what did the opposition find? Is the election over yet, or is it still in?
Yeah, it's
place?
over.
And what did they find out? Did they find out that it was rigged or not?
So what happened was after the election, each person went into. This is something the opposition did. Open a page, and in this page you can see every single state of the country, of the
Okay.
whole country, and in every single state there's every single we call it parroquia, right, or state,
Like,
and then
yeah.
inside each state you have each parroquia, which is like how you call this
County or something,
I don't know. It's like
like a region. or a
yeah,
county.
it's like and then inside this region you have how many separated in, I don't know how to call it, like, I don't know, you just separate it again, and then inside these ones
Yeah, it's like municipalities.
are municipal, and then inside these ones are again voting houses or whatever, right?
Okay.
They could be churches, they could be schools, they could be,
Yeah, like so
doesn't matter.
voting
It's just
locations. Yeah.
it's just they're physical places where these things are taking place. That's it.
Mm.
So in this page you could see every single of these places. You can unscroll it, you can expand it, let's say, and you would see every single table and how many votes each single table had. And you could see every single person that voted on every single of those tables. So before, there was something that was happening that they used to, the Chavismo was taking names from dead people, and they were using their name to put them into a red vote. A red is the Chavismo, the white ones are the opposition, right? So now they cannot do it because everything has to be, have to correspond.
Accounted for. Yeah.
Has to be accounted, and then it's amazing because you can see all the things that have been happening and how many votes on each table, how many votes on each house, how many votes on each state, and the statistics said that we won. The amount of votes that we counted,
So the
they
opposition
corresponded literally to the amount of people that voted on every single place.
Wow. So
And
the opposition technically won the election based
Yeah.
on the system that was in place.
yeah, but then this was just something that we did, right? To kind of, this is what Maria Corina was saying. We not only need to vote, we need to protect the vote
Yes.
because it can be rigged, as
Yeah.
it's been happening until today, right?
Mhm.
So basically, the government have not been able to break this down and show proof, and there is, there are kind of international rules for these type of things to take place, like you have to certify this, and you have to how you call it, report these to the international kind of entities that are, okay, this is not, this is actually illegal, and you know United Nations, etc. All these
So did
things.
Maduro, has he stayed in power? He said that he won the election,
Yeah,
basically. He's
course.
claiming that he won.
Yeah.
And then the opposition is saying that they have evidence with their
Yeah.
advanced voting system that he did not win. And they're trying to report this to other countries, and other countries are just, turning a blind eye? What are they doing about it?
I mean, you get the usual, thing. In the United States, you have, starting from there, from top to bottom, I guess. In the U.S., there's, people. It's not the president saying these things, obviously, or Trump, but there are kind of representatives and people from, they represent Latin kind of, or especially Venezuelan people there,
Interesting.
and they say, okay, this was rigged. Yeah,
Yeah.
you have not shown proof. You have to get out of the power, and you have to, obviously, he's not gonna do it, or
I mean, he has
or at
control.
least he's not gonna do it without fighting, without blood,
He has like a
which-
firm grip
which is-
of the military,
which
right?
is what he said.
Yeah.
There's a lot of nuances, because there's a massive
Nuances, yeah.
a massive percentage of well, not a massive, but maybe a big percentage of the military. They have a lot of power, and they're just following the law. They're not with the president. They're not with the red ones, if you want to call it like that. They just have to follow, the constitution. But I can say there's a lot of corruption inside the military, and obviously they use the military as as the, I don't know how you say that, like as the hammer that is containing the people from,
It's the enforcement.
it's
Yeah.
the actual the arms,
Yeah.
the guns and stuff. But what were you saying? You're saying something.
My question is, so how much did the opposition, using the advanced voting system, how much did they find that they won by? Do they know? Was it like
I think it was over 60%.
it was over 60%.
Yeah,
So it wasn't even that
60-something
close.
percent. And
That's
no,
crazy.
No.
So I mean, 60%. I think that would be considered a would that be considered a landslide in the States? Maybe. I think a landslide's like over 55 or 60%. Let's Google that. What's considered a
Yeah.
landslide election? What is
I think
considered?
it was more. It was over 60%.
What is considered a landslide election win? So a landslide victory is when one candidate or political party in an election receives a lot more votes or seats than an opponent. Okay, we need that. Here's an example of landslide victory. 49 out of 50 states give the most votes to Ronald. Oh, oops. So in the States, it's like when 49 states out of 50 vote. Okay, so maybe 60% isn't quite. Okay, no, here it says, why is winning an election in 55 to 45% considered a landslide when it's only 10% difference?
73%.
That's what the
Yeah.
opposition deemed was 73.
Why
That's
is-
that's
wh-
definitely a
What
landslide.
it is reflected, 73.2.
Let's see, because that is how close both parties are. Don't let anyone tell the Democrats. So
Yeah,
yeah,
like-
73% is definitely. I'd say that's probably considered a landslide. Definitely.
For like I mean, in a normal, you studied economics, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there is this thing. Well, in poker, I remember, because of poker, there is a graph of when you losing streak or your winning streak,
Mhm.
right? And this graph at the end is gonna, it has a kind of, is very close to 50%
Mhm.
over millions of hands, and when it goes up, it's supposed to go down at some point and meet in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So for this amount of people in in a country, when they're voting, if
That's a
they're
lot.
if all of them that are voting is supposed to be very close, 50 something, 51, 53, 52%, 48, 49, something like that. But then when it's so much,
73% is a landslide for
it's
sure.
like, okay,
And the crazy thing is, so Maduro just denied that, and he's like, if you try to take, he's like, nope, I won, even though it's 73%. And if you try to fuck with me, then I'm unleashing the military on you.
He literally said, referring to the opposition, that we don't want to fight over this because they will fight and they will fight until death or something like this,
Yeah.
or there will be blood, he says.
He said that, yeah. So he
So
basically,
he's basically threatening
He
the
said,
whole
yeah.
country, civil war or something.
yeah.
But there's an insane amount of we want to say
And but the thing is,
good military.
the international community is complicit. Like, if that's actually true, and it's so obvious to see what's happening in Venezuela. I mean, there's so many people just trying to get the hell out of there,
Yeah.
and it's so obvious that the situation there's not good, and then they even have evidence now that it's rigged, and it's like, okay, but all the international community. So there's this like Ukraine and Russia were like both fairly stable countries, and all the attention, and they both were more or less okay, and now they're fighting, and then all the attention's on them. But meanwhile, you have these countries that are just being totally decimated by corrupt politics, and the international community is just turning a blind eye. The mainstream media is turning a blind eye. Nobody's talking about it. It's just totally swept under the rug. And there's millions and millions of people that are just victims of it because of this. And the crazy thing is that Venezuela was a nice country. It was stable, it was nice, and the weather was good, and the people were happy. And like you
Weather's
said,
still good.
weather's still good, yeah. But like you said, it's just the people are becoming broken, and it's like, why? Why? How does you just? And that's the thing. And then now the way he's doing it is by using force, guns, weapons, and that's the thing. And there's gonna be blood if somebody wants to stop him, and it's just so sad that you know because the number one rule for citizens is like no violence in most countries. Like if you do anything violent against your neighbor or against somebody in the street, you're going to go to prison. Like that's almost the number one rule for every country is like no violence. But yet governments use violence against each other and against their own citizens all the time. That's like their it's like their number one rule for their last resort. It's like, well, if things aren't going our way, or if that country's not listening to us,
Yeah.
let's go there and unleash some military action on them, and then, or there's too many people that don't are protesting against the government. Let's unleash some military action against them, and so yeah, it would be great. Everyone always says, oh, that's why you shouldn't give up your guns. Everyone always says, that's why you keep your guns, and that's what in the U.S. that people want to keep their guns because they think the government's gonna turn on them. But I would say, like, it would be so much nicer if nobody had any guns, including the governments. Think about if nobody had guns. And it was just like, if you want to fight somebody, you got to use your fists, or
It would be much different.
it would be nice.
I'll tell you
Because
that.
if everyone has guns, then somebody's going to fucking pull the trigger. Somebody's
Yeah.
going to push the red button and nuke somebody else. And so if everyone has guns, everyone's just like, oh, some people should have guns and some people shouldn't, or everybody should have guns. That's the only argument. But my theory is like, what if we just took all the guns away from all the governments, and then took all the guns away from all the people, and then what if nobody had? Obviously, it's utopic. It's not realistic. But imagine if nobody had any guns. Then imagine how, we could have more dialogue, and nobody could make any grandiose threats to try and maintain power or cling on to power. And like I said, obviously it's very utopic vision, but it is just so sad what's happening in Venezuela.
Yeah. I mean, I can't remember what I was gonna say. The big problem right now in Venezuela is practically is there's too many people with guns.
Too many people with guns.
Yeah, too many guns on the streets.
Yeah.
And it is impossible to get rid of them
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Some people are going to
it's
keep theirs.
impossible.
Yeah.
You cannot. Police cannot even reach these places. It's
Were guns legal? Like in the past, were they always legal there?
No.
They
well, I'm not sure about this.
or
not
yeah.
sure.
I was
We
just
can
curious.
look it up. But I mean, about the United States, I think this is one of the good things I mean, I wish, I mean, one of the things I was remembering, I think you guys have these in the Constitution, the right to bear arms is solely for the purpose of defending against. Um, you have a specific word for this. It's a very nice word, but against oppression from the government or from.
That's one of the reasons. It's for protecting your home from like any, and it's also for protecting yourself against
Yeah,
a tyrannical government.
Exactly, against tyranny,
Yeah.
and this is like a beautiful thing because the guns are not for you. You're not supposed to be for you to defend yourself against the robber. If we were all good,
Well, it
but
states that it states that's for that purpose too in the
yeah,
Constitution.
I mean, it is more current, I suppose, kind of another point on the on the law.
Yeah.
But what I mean is like, if we were all good,
Mm-hmm.
we only would need the guns to fight the tyranny, right?
Yes.
That comes from the government because
Yeah.
this is supposed to be the worst. Like, I love philosophy. My mom, she's a philosopher. And when I was studying in Spain, there was this thing about I think it was Plato or Socrates. I can remember very well who was it, but this philosopher says that there is something called the king philosopher, who
Mhm.
is the person that is more suited to be a president or a king. It won't it won't want to be a king because that person would know that this is the worst place you can put yourself in because of the power, and we're as humans, you get corrupted very easily.
Mm.
But then who is the best person to be, who's the fittest
Mm.
to be ruling? So is the person with the most knowledge, and the person is the philosopher, right? So it would
Mm.
be the person that has a broad knowledge and good values, ethical values, etc.
Mm.
So this person knows that this is not the best place to be. So this person would not want to be there, and this is I think this where all the corruption comes from. Is I think this one is the most likely, is the one that is where it's gonna come from.
Mm.
So the right to bear arms. That's this. I think this is a beautiful thing because like you can protect your own country
Mm.
and an entire legacy and hundreds of years of oppression with guns.
Mm.
Right? If we were all good, we wouldn't need to use the guns against ourselves. This is what I mean. But yeah, I mean, if we didn't have any guns, any country had any guns, we would be like Finland or Sweden, closing prisons and stuff because they don't have anybody inside.
Mm.
And like now we have Bukele,
Mhm.
Nayib Bukele. He's the president of El Salvador, which is an amazing.
Mm.
I think he's one of the
Yeah,
best persons in this century to in terms of history.
I have another friend who's like he's crazy about Bukele.
I'm
He's
crazy
going to
about
move to
Bukele,
El
man.
Salvador. He wants to move
Crazy
there.
about, yeah. It's one of the things like, okay, should we move back to South America, but to these countries that are making changes actually? And then we have Bukele, and then we have Milei in Argentina,
Argentina, yeah.
which is amazing because he's just getting rid of all the shit that is going on and the corrupting the country. And
Well, the mainstream media will tell you that Malay is terrible, and like in
Yeah, well,
especially
mainstream
Spanish
media
news,
is
the
fucking
Spanish
shit.
news is like, my wife's mother is from Argentina, so my wife is half Argentinian, half Spanish, and their family is a bit more I really don't really affiliate with either the left or the right, just because I've seen both sides fail and both sides make promises and not
Yeah.
deliver, and so I'm just kind of disillusioned with politics.
yeah, same, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I saw the video of that Malay guy. He's like, he's like the what do you say, the Ministerio de Educación fuera, Ministerio de Mujeres
this video,
fuera, Ministerio de Social
Equality,
Equalidad.
Ministerio of the Mujer, de la Mujer,
Yeah.
of the women, and he's like, all this shit is gonna get rid of. I'm gonna get rid of all these, and he's saying, okay, it's just common sense. Like when you see somebody speaking with common sense,
Yeah.
it's normal that it doesn't matter if it's a person, if it's a politician from the left or from the right.
Yeah.
You just say, okay, this person is just talking, is just speaking sense.
Yeah. So is he?
Uh,
I haven't. That's the only video I've seen. And for anyone who
yeah,
doesn't
I
speak
think so.
Spanish, fuera means like get out.
Do you-
And he's like, it's like, what is the literal translation of that video? He's like, basically, like, the Ministry of Health, like, gone.
Close.
And he's like, the Ministry of Women, gone. And he's
Yeah. But it's true. It's true. I think it's one of the things that are happening right now in relating to myself
The
in
minister,
Spain.
minister, sorry.
Yeah, ministries.
Not ministry. Minister of woman, minister, yeah.
Ministries. Yeah. Um, yeah. Why do we have this many politicians? In Spain, there are hundreds of thousands of politicians that
Mm.
are literally getting taxpayers' money
Yeah.
for them to fucking have a mansion or something like, and the rest of the people, what are we
Yeah.
doing? What are we doing? I mean, there's the money that the taxes are supposed to be used for us, for the roads, for
Yeah.
the lighting, and for making the
Yeah.
cities more livable. Like in architecture, this
Yeah.
is a massive thing. Like, okay, you need to bring the people to these cities, and these cities have to be fit for people to live in.
Yeah.
Live in them, and then politicians are just using the tax as an excuse, and it's just a fraud. This
Well,
is
yeah,
a famous video about this going on about tax being a fraud because it's a scam. Sorry,
Yeah.
tax is a scam. Bukele says this.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to paraphrase because I can't remember exactly what he said, but it's basically the government can print money
Uh-huh.
and you're just making your own rules
Yeah.
and the basis for this money to be printed is that it's like the value
Mm-hmm.
it comes from something very specific that um, you cannot really buy.
Mm.
So I don't know, it's just used
Well,
as an excuse to make people believe that they are spending the money on something useful.
Mm.
But then you can see it everywhere. You're paying a lot of taxes, and you can see the street how it is. There's
Yeah.
no light. There's insecurity. There's no police
Yeah.
anywhere. There's no, problems with the water. There's problems with the trash.
Mm.
There's so you ask yourself, what is the tax being used? The taxpayers' money being used on,
Mm.
and I think it's the same in every country. Like
It is the same. I mean, and even in the U.S., I think if you just get elected to Congress like one time, or something, you get like paid the rest of your life. Let me just see. Is that correct? Let's go on ChatGPT real quick.
I love these in Armageddon from
Yeah.
Bruce Willis, the
Okay.
movie, where the guys are asked as a favor from the government to go and and destroy this asteroid that's coming to Earth,
Yeah.
and one of the guys says, "What do you want in return?" And he says, I don't want to pay any taxes anymore ever again." Any person from my family or descendants ever.
That's great. And what they
It's
say?
the best thing.
They were like, "Sorry, mate, you can't do that."
No taxes, like my surname, don't pay any taxes anymore.
But
ever.
they probably said no. Did they let him do that?
I don't know.
Oh, it's just a movie,
It's
I
just
guess.
one of the.
Okay, if you get I'm just searching. If you get elected to Congress, to U.S. Congress, one time, do you get paid a salary the rest of your life? I think.
It's called Salario Vitalicio,
If they do, it's crazy.
which
Let's
is the
see.
same with the monarchs and kings and stuff. Like, I don't know, the queen here, well, now the king,
Oh, it says no.
or
Members of
politicians.
U.S. Congress do not receive a salary for life after serving just one term. However, they are eligible for a pension if they meet certain conditions.
Why?
Here's how it works. Pension eligibility.
insane.
Members of Congress are eligible for a pension after serving at least 5 years. This means a member of the House of Representatives would need to serve at least 3 terms, 6 years, to qualify, while a senator would need to serve at least 1 full term, 6 years. Pension amount. The pension is not the same as their full salary. It is based on their years of service and the average of the highest 3 years of their salary. Oh, so the highest 3 years of their salary, the average of that. So what's that? By law, the pension cannot exceed 80% of their final salary. So I'll be like, what is the average? Is the average pension of a senator that
Obama.
serves one term? Of a
Just,
senator
just
that
put Obama.
serves one term. Okay, let's see. What is the average of pension of a senator that serves one term? Let's see if it can tell us that. Come on, ChatGPT. Okay. Okay. As of 2024, the annual salary for most senators is 174,000. A senator serving one term would have 6 years of service, assuming that an average salary of 174,000. The pension formula under FERS would be, so they would get. Oh, what? It's only 1.7%. Okay, okay. So in summary, the estimated average pension for a senator serving one term is around 17 to 20,000 per year, depending on specific factors. That's crazy. That's still pretty damn good. So like, if you just serve one, if you basically serve 6 years in the U.S. Congress, your average, you'll just get paid like an average between like 17 to 20K for the rest of your every year for the rest of your life, which, I mean, I guess maybe that's not for a poor person like me. It seems like a lot.
That's more or less what architectural part one assistants get paid here for a year of work. So it's a normal job pays you like, I don't know,
Yeah, in the
like
U.S.
10K,
that's not
20K
enough.
here.
In the U.S. now, like you need like 50K. Well, the thing is, those senators probably get like quite a high standard of living,
Yeah.
and they have to upkeep it. So 20 grand actually for the level that they probably are living at. They probably have a big house and probably like 5 kids and like cars and shit. 20 grand a year is not that much. I thought it was way more. But yeah, so, but still, I mean, so that's 20, and that's for life. So you serve one term. So one
That's
guy works for the
insane.
government for
As
6
the
years.
best business model,
Yeah.
you just study a few books. Like some
Yeah.
politicians, they don't even know a few books. Let me tell you. Like you just study a few books. You get into politics. If you're lucky, you
Yeah.
get to be somebody, and then for the rest of your life, you're fucking getting free money
Yeah. Well, I
from
mean,
people, just
yeah.
from your neighbor.
Well, it's taxes. So
Literally.
like, imagine. So I don't know what the youngest age of senator can be, but so imagine I get into the Senate right now. I'm 33. I think you can get in be a senator after the age of 30. So imagine I become a senator at the age of 33, and I just serve until I'm 38 or 39. 39, I guess, 6 years. So then from the age of 39, like I just served the country for 6 years, and then I'm done. From the age of 39 until 80 or whatever, until I die.
Hopefully.
That's like 41. So I get paid for 41 years. I get paid 20K for 40 years, which is like, is that 20K for 40 years? Is that 800,000, I think? So basically, I'll just get paid like $1 million almost.
For free.
I'll just get like $1 million from the age of 39 until 80, just
Yeah.
because I served. I
Giving
gave,
nothing in return.
and that's just taxpayer money,
Exactly. Yeah.
And I gave only 6 years. I gave 6 years of service, and then now I'm just gonna get. Okay, I know I'm gonna get $1 million before I'm 80. Or I know I'm gonna get 800K before I'm 80. But I guess what the thing is, probably most of those people, once they get in power, they probably want to they're like career politicians. They
They wanna
probably go
want
again.
more.
They want more and more.
Of course.
And the thing is,
greed.
the salary is 175K. So it's like, if they can they probably don't even do that much. They just sign a few.
Stay as long as you can, and then
and each year you stay, your pension's increasing. So
yeah.
each year you
Inflation as well, so you're increasing
Yeah.
even more.
So they're like, I'm not gonna retire now because I'm getting 175K a year. If I quit, I'm just gonna get 20K a year. And each year I work, my pension's actually going up from 20K. Like if I work another couple of years, it's gonna be 30K, 40K.
It's like an investment.
So if you just stay 20 years in the government,
Nice.
you're gonna make 174K a year, which is like 2 or 3 mil. Plus you're gonna get like, it'll probably be $2 million by the time you're gonna get probably 50K a year, or whatever, maybe 80K. If you serve 2 or 3 terms, you're gonna get like a lot more money. We could even figure it out. Like, let's just see. If you serve, what's 4 terms would be 24 years. What's the average length of I'd say 30 years maybe is the average length, but probably the time someone gets in, and just say 4 terms. If you served 4 terms in Congress,
How old is Biden?
I don't know, like 180 or something.
Jesus.
If you serve 4 terms in Congress, what would your
It's like
pension
a very vintage
be?
Roomba.
After,
Biden.
yeah. What'd you say?
He's like a very vintage Roomba. After he gives a speech, he becomes a Roomba.
A Roomba. Oh yeah, he does. Yeah, a robot. Yeah, he's like, yeah.
I've seen these somewhere. I don't know where.
Robot malfunction. Let's see. Okay. Oh wow, it's not that much more. if a member of Congress serves 4 terms, that's only 8 years. What? I thought then it's their pension would start at 23,600 per year. Okay, I thought it was better than that. Fair enough. I thought it was much better than that. But
How much?
if they serve 4 terms, they only get 24K a year as their pension. I mean, it's still good, but anyway.
24K
Anyway.
for free.
But imagine how many senators are currently alive? That's what you got to ask. So let's just figure that out. So how many senators, how many previous or current serving senators are still alive? Senators are still alive. Okay. Pull that up, ChatGTP. Okay, so let's see. As of August 2024, there are 166 former U.S. senators alive, along with 100 sitting. So 100 times, what's 100 times 174,000?
166, you said?
Do 166 times like 20.
24,000. That's 3 million. That's 4 million almost.
Sorry,
3.9
160.
million.
Do 166 times 22,000. 166 times 22,000. What's that?
3.6 million.
Okay, and then add this in at plus, and then in brackets, 100 times 174,000.
I cannot do it here. This calculator is like
Okay, what was that first number? What was the first number?
3.652.
3.652 million.
That's insane.
So let's do 3.652 million. 3.652, 3,652,000 plus 100 times 174,000. Okay, so basically for the tax bill for people for current senators or previously sitting senators' pensions is like 21 million a year. Just like that's 21 million a year. So, but there's like 350 million Americans. So let's do 350 million divided by 21 million. 350 million, so it's 1/16 of a dollar. Let's do $1 divided by 16. 1 divided by, is that right? Yeah. So as it said, 21 million, 30. So it's like 6 cents. That's actually not very much. Is that right? Let me see. 350 divided by 21 is 16. So that means there's 1/16 of a dollar each year that the people pay for all their senators. Actually, that's not very much, I guess.
I mean, it depends.
Like
how you
each
see it.
year, each person has to give. What's 1/16 of a dollar? It's like
Because if that
120.
money was used for something else, I mean, I suppose these people have to get paid somehow, right?
Isn't that crazy though? Like
That's
if every person in America gives 6 cents
only.
only, that adds up
Some
to
people don't have these.
$21 million.
Is this 6 cents every day, or every year?
No, just 6 cents.
Per
6
year.
cents per year is the cost of each American has to give 6 cents, and that will add up. Is that right? Let me just see. God, I don't want to give bad math here. So, 350 million divided by 21 million is 16. Oh, sorry, dollars. So 16. So 350 million divided by 21, that's 16. And it's 351 million. There's 350 million people. If everyone gave $1, that'd be $350 million. So it's divide a dollar by 16. Yeah. So it's like 6 cents. Let me just double check.
That would be per year.
6 cents times 3.06 times 350 million. Sorry. Yeah, it's 21 million. So per year, that's actually not very much. I thought it'd be a lot more. So when every American gives 6 cents, that pays for their Senate each year. So it's like, well, where's the rest of the money going then? It's like, what the fuck? Because everyone's paying
mean,
like
you have-
thousands and thousands of dollars.
You have to account for for age, I think, as well, because
Yeah.
like not everyone could pay 6 cents a year.
Oh, okay, yeah,
The
fair enough.
the ages and also the labor,
Taxes, yeah.
the
Okay.
ages and stuff. So
It's still crazy though. I mean, it's not
I
that much
mean,
money compared to how much taxes are being
it
paid.
is too much, man. And
So,
I think it's Sweden or Finland. Uh, the politicians, they live in a flat like this. They
okay.
have a car like ours,
Mm.
and they take the bus,
Mm.
and the rest of the money is used for the people.
Yeah, well,
And
those societies are pretty developed, aren't they?
yeah, there are no guns.
Mm.
There are no prisons because the people don't have to kill each other for, you know.
Because they're not
And
desperate.
there's another big thing, and it's in education. Well, been through education my whole life, obviously, but involved in the kind of academy. My mom, she's a teacher. I used to teach some music to children in Spain as well, and
Hey, you're a musician, right? You're a really good guitarist. You used to be in conservatory.
not too good, but but yeah, I studied some years. And yeah, what I was gonna say is, in those countries, like in Finland, for example, the best grades for you, like the cut, not how you call this, like the cut notes,
cutoff?
or the um you have to have for being a teacher.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so being a teacher, you have to have the best grades,
Yeah.
not a doctor or something.
So what do you do with this? Okay, so if you are an amazing teacher that you can inspire hundreds of millions of people, or
Mhm.
every 100 years,
Mm.
let's say you run it for 100 years, so you get the best students, the
Mm.
most motivated students, which are going to be the best architects, the best psychologists, the best
Mm.
the best doctors, the best everything. So that is, for example, comparing this to Spain,
So all the money's in
the
education.
worst cut note. This actually might not be a fact. I don't know if this is like completely fact, like the worst, but one of the lowest
Salaries.
like no, the grade, like the
Oh,
overall grades that you have to have for entering a career.
oh yeah. So
It's
the
being a
teacher.
teacher in Spain. So you have shit teachers
Wow.
that
So
have no idea what the fuck they're doing,
mm.
and
Yeah. So I
I don't know,
understand now.
man.
So Finland, basically, you have to have the highest grades to
You
be a
have
teacher.
the most amazing professionals as teachers.
Wow.
And these people, this is somewhere, I read this somewhere about philosophy, like the people that have to teach, they have to be the best,
Mm.
because they're literally leading with people that are learning. And this is so important, such an important thing, right?
Mm.
And you get the worst teachers. What are they gonna, what kind of students are gonna come out?
Yeah, you're gonna get dumb, or you're gonna get students much
Yeah,
lower quality
fucking
than a good teacher.
not
I mean,
interested, just not going to school,
yeah.
skipping school, doing weird stuff.
And think about it. I mean, how much of a difference does a good teacher make? Like when I was in school,
Fucking insane.
when
Man.
I used to, when you have a bad teacher, like you just don't want to learn. But some teachers really, you could tell they really cared, and they had a special way of how they would teach and get their message across.
Mm.
And you would really want to learn. You'd be eager to go to
Yeah.
class, and you'd be eager to learn, and it would make all the difference in the world. And
Mm.
so, yeah, it is crazy. I always thought, yeah, education it has to be at the heart of a good country. You know, you need the money needs to be in education. But if you look at most of the education budgets, it's like 2%
It's
or
fucking shit.
3%.
Yeah.
But it's crazy that Finland, I didn't know that they had, you have to have the highest grades to be a teacher there. But that's an awesome model.
This was a few years ago when I read it, but I don't know, maybe it's changed now. But I mean, if they're still that good, it's probably even better now. But
And
yeah.
it's I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you know, a lot of people, you know, there's lots of talks of like the New World Order or global governments and things like that. And you think it's like, man, that's not good. But imagine if it was like run like Finland, or imagine if it could be a global government that was run well, that could be beneficial for a country like Venezuela or a country in Africa that's just ravaged by corruption. So, you know, that's the thing. A global government wouldn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, but my fear is that it's not. It's like they're not going to make it a global government to be like Finland. They're going to make it a global government to be like Venezuela. That's the worry. It's like a global government wouldn't be a bad thing if it was a good government. but it just seems like more and more countries are failing rather than more and more countries are becoming successful, doesn't it?
Mm.
That's the fear. It's like, do we have more and more countries that are like success stories, or do we have more and more countries that seem to be failing? And that's when I pay attention to that, it's scary because it's like, ooh, well, we have like these wars over here. I guess war is a sign of failure somewhere, or a civil war, or just absolute poverty. Like these are all kind of signs of failure, and I mean, but there is hope. There's countries that are hopeful. I think. Um,
Well, there's some countries like, I mean, I love to be pessimist, but love not to be.
mm,
I mean, Spain and here. I mean, I hope not, but man, it's just going down. Like it's going down.
you think Scotland's going down as well?
Like UK,
The UK, I
like
mean,
the,
it seems to be,
like the whole thing is like, I don't know
yeah,
what's going on.
it is scary. There just seems to be a low level of competence everywhere. And it's even just having conversations like this. It's firstly, it's like, who can I trust? It's sometimes I'm like, and the thing is, the reason you feel that way is because you'll have an interaction. Sorry, this camera is glitching out again. We're gonna have to get that changed. Just don't pay attention to this shitty camera. But the thing is, yeah, like I was just saying, the level of competence. When I'm at work, I just work as a waiter most of the time. And fair enough, waiters, most of the time those jobs are like for people who are not super highly educated or are for young kids. It's like their first job or something. And so I can understand why maybe I don't encounter the highest quality people in that profession. I forgive that. I mean, there's cool people there, but a lot of times it's just like stupid drama and stupid stuff, and you can't really have. You have to be very careful with how you speak around these people because most of these people are not developed very well emotionally or socially, and but just any society in general, even some of my best friends recently, I'm like, it's weird because it feels like everyone's getting like psyoped in a different way from their algorithm or their internet, and it's like, even when I talk to friends, I'm like, where are you coming from, dude? Like, where are you getting your information from? And some of my friends, they come out with some weird stuff sometimes, and I just kind of remind myself, okay, they're just on some different algorithm. They're getting
Yeah.
their information from a different algorithm, and maybe they're seeing some shit I didn't see, and I'm seeing shit that they didn't see. And I try to maintain my
You,
social
you
connections,
have to
but
be critical of absolutely everything that you hear and that like you see even
yeah.
because I mean in the media like you cannot trust anything, man. Like
Oh yeah, I don't try. I mean, I don't
you
even.
have somebody that says that they are a doctor saying something weird,
Mm,
and it turns out not to be true or
mm,
something. This, I mean, the last thing was the big thing with COVID, right? There's
mm.
a massive, still, I don't know, trials like on YouTube and stuff from
Oh yeah.
companies and stuff in Brazil. They were finding some sort of weird nanotechnology in the vaccines. Like they were finding people with nanorobots inside of their blood and shit.
Oh Jesus.
And they analyzed some vaccines and they had this inside
Mm,
and they had the proof. And the pharmaceuticals cannot say, yes or no.
mm.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
So
definitely. I mean, I don't want to quote Joe Rogan,
I mean
but
the
Joe Rogan always
BBC.
says strange times, and it is strange times. But that it's just there's so many things going on like
Yeah.
simultaneously at the same. And but you were saying, sorry,
No, no, yeah. What I was saying? Can't remember.
nanotechnology in Brazil, and
There's
the vaccine companies can't. They don't know what to do.
there's too much shit going on. Like, I mean, I know my grandparents. They lived like a rougher, you know,
Mm,
rougher times.
mm.
But I think in general things were more secure.
More simple for sure.
Simple lives. And now, I guess like some people would say, okay, this is normal. You know,
Yeah,
life is like history is like a pendulum. Like some, it
yeah,
goes like this, and then 100 years it goes back, and then it
yeah,
repeats again and again and again.
yeah,
And some people will say, yeah, it's normal. It's normal that these things happen, but fuck, man, these things with the general ideology and people brainwashed, like fucking 20 years from now, from today, like these people were considered like, I don't know, you have to go to the local house,
yeah.
and stay there for
Oh
the rest
yeah,
of your lives. And now these people are teaching the children.
yeah.
like this is mental. This is mental, and
Yeah, if you just walk
I
down the
don't know.
street, when I just walk down the street now, I'm like, okay, let me see if I can identify a healthy individual, and it's like somebody that I would say like is a seems to be healthy, and I mean obviously you can't speak to everyone, but firstly I look at people and I identify if they're physically healthy or not. I'm like, okay, that person looks more or less physically healthy, and then but there's just not. It's less and less. It's fewer and further between. You'll see people with fucking face tattoos walking around. And maybe that doesn't make somebody mentally unhealthy. I
No.
don't know if it does or not. But by traditional standards, by
Yeah.
traditional standards, you'd be like, yeah, that doesn't like. I was raised somewhat traditionally, so I guess that's my measure of what
Yeah.
I'm just comparing everything to what how I was raised, and I was raised in a very traditional home. My dad's like, don't get tattoos, don't get earrings. I got earrings when I was younger, just to kind of rebel. But when I look around the street, it's like everyone is way more extreme than I was, than I am. It
Yeah,
seems like.
I watched this YouTuber. I'm sure you maybe know it. You're 30.
Mhm.
I'm 32 as well. Asmongold, you know?
Who's it?
Asmongold.
Has
Asmongold.
Asmogold.
Yeah,
How do you spell it?
Asmon, like Asmon.
Osmond. OSMOND.
OSMOND. OND, and then gold.
Osmond Gold.
Asmongold. He used to be, well, he used to be one of the top like World of Warcraft kind of gamers.
Okay.
And he usually streams, and he just, I don't know, reacts to videos and stuff. Um, and there was a video, I can't remember what was the topic, but what I remember, I remember he said, he interacts a lot with the chat, and there's some weird comments, like people like how old is this person that is speaking, like is writing here.
Yeah.
And then this he said, well, start like the normal is different for everyone because we all have different standards. Like we set our standard as the standard, right?
Mm.
And then there are, well, in the professional life, like let's say, I don't know, law or architecture or economy, there are things that are, there's a set of rules.
Mm.
But then for the rest of the things, you just have yourself to guide
Mm.
from, and maybe your family, or this is like a,
Yeah.
you know you're gonna
Personal
follow that
standards.
line.
Yeah.
You can change, you can change pretty much everything that you want, but like, you've been accustomed to see certain things or to speak in a certain way,
Yeah.
and then these movements kind of trying to change things. I mean, in architecture, this related to architecture because it's kind of what I've studied, right? And
Mm.
you have modernism, and back then, these artists like using a toilet
Mm-hmm.
as a piece of art,
Mm.
and this is considered art.
Mm.
What the fuck is it? Like, what's going on? And then, okay, you know that it's about a statement,
Mm.
right? It's about like something behind.
Yeah, it's supposed to mean something
okay.
like abstract or something.
Yeah, but when you're analyzing things very, how you say that, like raw.
Mm.
I mean, man, I mean, there's some weird art out
Yeah.
there. Like a child could do this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the same
Yes.
happens with a lot of things.
Yeah.
The same happens with
Music.
fucking music, and well, yeah.
Music's
We
pretty
have
shit.
reggaeton, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I love the beat, but
Yeah.
anybody could be a musician like fucking today. Man.
I made a few reggaeton songs just because I was like, why not?
It's what people like, right?
I was like, yeah.
People
if
like people like
it, just
people
make
like people that don't know how to sing, right? They just auto tune and that's it. But if you analyze things like for what they are,
Yeah.
if you put a reggaetonero next to Celine Dion,
Yeah. Yeah.
or I don't know,
In the
Picasso next
prime.
to some weird, right?
Yeah.
So what I was saying, in the modern times, like when all these things came out, like Kandinsky or I don't know, Frank Gehry, you have all these people that are trying to make a statement or
Mhm.
make a change in a movement in architecture,
Yeah.
for example. They're considered like you're crazy.
Yeah.
What you're doing is like it has nothing to do with my standard and with the standard that is out there.
Mm.
But then there are certain things like you just cannot even relate to. Like you cannot even.
Mm.
I don't know. I mean, I respect all the people like with this gender thing, gender ideology thing.
Yeah.
And
The gender ideology.
Yeah,
thing,
you have
yeah.
your own opinion.
Yeah. But don't try and make me change my standard
yeah, exactly,
of what is
exactly.
like, yeah.
Because that would be okay. You're complaining that people are not understanding you,
Uh-huh.
but then why are you not understanding me? Because I
Yeah.
have my own way, so why are you not respecting my own?
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah, well, I mean, what university are you studying at?
Robert Gordon Uni.
Are you Robert Gordon? Okay,
Yeah.
great. So I can talk. I'm actually currently suing the University of Aberdeen. I'm in a lawsuit against them because I, I mean, yeah, sorry, but like I was,
Can you talk about it? Or?
yeah, I believe I can actually. So I don't want to get into too much detail
Yeah.
because it's still. I mean, I'm allowed to talk about it, but I don't want to get into too much detail because it's getting later as well. But we'll
Yeah.
wrap it up here soon. Just the first, I don't want to get people. I guess I mean the longer it goes on means we just have good content, but it is getting late. It's almost 11 p.m. here. But basically, there was a job that was advertised by them, and it was a tennis coordinator job,
Mhm.
and I applied for it. It was
Tennis
like
in a
tennis. Yeah,
as in
I'm quite a decent tennis player. I used to play. My mom played in Wimbledon actually when she was younger. And
nice.
I was never amazing, but I was quite good. And there was a tennis coordinator position, and I applied for it. This was last September, almost a whole year ago now. And I went through the application process. Took like 4 months. I went to the interview, but in the advertisement, it was like, oh, the main part of the job is going to be like you need to be inclusive and
What the fuck?
uh, it's like almost all the jobs like inclusive and focus on underrepresented groups and things like that. And I was like, okay, that's fine. It's 2023. You know, we got to be inclusive.
Oh, you would expect it's fine, yeah.
Yeah, I expect
You
it.
would expect this
It's what I'm expecting.
normal.
And then like a week before the interview, they're like, just to remind you, like you're gonna have to really like answer questions about inclusivity at the interview. Nothing else. Not like, can you play tennis? Are you a good coach?
What the fuck, really?
It was just only inclusivity, only like. And then
Fuck, I hate this, man.
I went to the interview, and at the interview it was just like, how would you make like a group session on court inclusive? You know, how would you attract more underrepresented groups? It was just like fucking badgering me about inclusivity. But I was like, okay, that's fine. Because
Just wanting to play tennis and be good.
well, no, because I understand, like, you know, there's definitely some demographics that do not have as much access to tennis. And maybe traditionally tennis was played by white people,
Yeah.
and maybe other people from different races didn't have as much opportunity. But I understood that as part of the job, and I was like, okay, great. I would like to share it. I would like to do that. And initially, I didn't think much of it. I was like, this is fine. I'm happy to do that as part of the job. I'd love to, you know, I'd love to see anybody if anybody can play tennis and get joy out of it, great. Like, it doesn't matter what religion, everyone's got their own struggles. I don't care what religion, what race, what gender you are, whatever, sexual
Just playing
orientation.
tennis, I guess.
Playing tennis is fun. Let's go play tennis. I'll share it with everyone. Long story short, uh, they tell me, oh, the interview was in November. They tell me, okay, well, the job's likely to start like middle to late January, and we'll get in touch with you, letting you know the result if you're hired or not. So I check my email all December, nothing happens. Nothing, I don't get any emails, no calls. And I kind of thought, oh, I must not have gotten the job. Anyway, January 12th, I call them, January 12th this year. And I say, not call them, I email them, sorry. And I say, hey, hope you had a nice Christmas, New Year's, like, just wondering if there's any updates on the job. They wait, I don't get a reply for like 5 days, 4 days maybe. I don't get a reply for 4 days. In the reply, this lady, she's like, oh, sorry, we messaged you saying, offering you the job, but you didn't reply. We emailed you. And I was like, that's weird. I didn't receive any emails. Oh, and we called you multiple times to offer you the job. And I was like, that's strange. I didn't receive any phone calls or any emails. And I check my phone and my emails all the time. I have a voicemail. And I was like, are you sure there hasn't been some sort of mistake? And so this lady sends me copies of two emails that were supposedly sent to me December 1st and December 6th offering me the job.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the email, it says, like, in the copies of the email she sent me, it says, oh, we were offering the job. Please get back to us by December 8th. And then I was like, okay. I was like, that's so strange. I've checked my email. I've checked everything. I can't find anything. I've checked everything. I checked my phone. I haven't received phone calls those days. She's like, sorry, but we did email you. We did call you. And I was like, this is just so weird. I said, well, considering that you thought I was the best for the job, you thought I was the best because you said you gave me the offer, and the job hasn't been re-advertised yet. Like, can I just? Why don't we just start?
When do I start? Yeah.
Yeah, just like let's start. Let me start. That's it's mutually beneficial. Like you get the best candidate, and I want the job.
Did
so
they
let's
hire
do it.
somebody else or?
So no, so she said no. Sorry, we're not gonna. We won't do that. We're not gonna do that. We're gonna re-advertise the job. If you want, we can forward your application into the next process. And keep in mind, this took 4 months already to get to this point. She's like, we'll put you back in the application pool. And I was like, what? So I have to wait another fucking 4 months
What?
for a job?
If I am the candidate, what the fuck is going on?
Exactly. So she puts me. So I was like, what? So I was like, I'm gonna make a formal complaint. So I make a formal complaint.
Yeah.
Then their head of HR does a thorough investigation. He's like, oh no, everything was handled fairly and competently. And I was like, what?
Incompetently.
No,
Fairly-
fairly and competently.
Ah,
So he's like,
okay.
everything was fair, nothing bad happened. Like all of the people handled your case fairly.
Everyone did their job as they were supposed to.
Exactly. And then so I filed a lawsuit against them through the employment tribunal. Through the employment courts. Because in Scotland, which is it's really great here, they have these things called employment tribunals.
Citizen advice view.
No, it's just the employment tribunal. So it's like
I know, yeah.
it's on the government, and you can basically just if your employer does something and fucks you over, you can go and if you can explain it to the employment tribunal, they're supposed to hear your case, and it helps if you can understand the legal terminology. So I just use ChatGPT to understand some legal terminology. I'm like, this and this happened to me. What is this called in legal terms?
Mm.
And so I filed a case against them for unfair failure to follow fair procedure and basically fraud. I said that
That's so weird.
I said they committed fraud. I said, I think you guys didn't send me that email. I checked. And I said, I think that's fraud. But I didn't know for sure at that point. I didn't know. And then a month goes, they get a lawyer. And then their lawyer, I'm talking with their lawyer. And their lawyer says, oh, look, we sent him these emails. These
Yeah.
are the copies of the emails we
Yeah,
sent
but
him.
that's not enough. You can ask for like metadata from the emails.
That's what I did. So I said, she said, we sent him these emails on this date. They were sending it to me and the court. And I looked at those emails carefully. I was like, something's different about those emails. And their dumbass lawyer accidentally sent like the wrong copy of the email. So like in the email that the first lady sent me, it says, please accept our offer by December the 8th. And then their lawyer sent a copy of that email, same timestamp, same date, but it says, please let us know if you have any questions. Instead of, please let us know if you accept
But
the
you
offer.
didn't receive this one either.
I didn't receive any of them.
Any
Any of them. But so she said, this is the one we sent him. And I said, well, that's strange
That's-
because I said, the one that the first girl said that was sent to me, which the one that the first girl sent to me said that I need to accept the offer by December the 8th. And now this copy that you're sending me says it's exactly the same, supposedly the exact same message that you're saying. And it says, please let us know if you have any questions. And I was like, so I said, so which, are you lying to me or are you lying to the court? Like which one of these, it says that it was sent December 1st, 11:57. So it's the same email, but it's two emails. So I said, which copy is legit? She said, oh, no, we're not lying to you. We're not lying to the court. For some reason, we don't know why, but that message that we sent to you is not the right one. But that's the one that they used. So the one that they sent to me had the acceptance deadline. And that's what they said, oh, you had to accept it by this date or else you couldn't have the job. But they admitted that was a lie, that email.
There is
And-
well from the start, my girlfriend's been to court twice
Okay.
because of some sort of some problems with past employers,
Okay.
and there was something that we figured that it was called. I mean, it's common sense, but it's something that when you falsify a document
Uh-huh.
as proof,
Fraudulent
you can-
misrepresentation.
you can go to jail.
Yeah.
So the people that did this, they can actually go to jail by if you're falsifying a signature or
Yeah.
a date and you're saying that, it's very. They know how to go around it because they just say it's a mistake.
Yeah.
And they have I don't know how to say it. Like here, the processes are very light
Yeah.
compared to in other countries,
Yeah.
in other things. Like if you were to
Well, they
do
claim their
this with
lawyer.
Harvard,
Yeah.
that would be an insane because
In
law in
where?
in the U.S. Yeah,
Oh, in the U.S. Yeah.
like you
With
I don't know.
Harvard. Yeah.
Yeah, like this a massive thing.
Mm.
But here the tribunals they take it very lightly. So it's
Yeah.
like okay, no, okay, they made a mistake. Yeah, but
But their
what do you
lawyer
mean?
admitted. So their lawyer actually admitted. So they said he doesn't. He didn't. He admits that it was a mistake that he added that on, and he just claims that it was because he was trying to tidy up the recruitment process. And I was like, excuse me. I was like,
You're in court
I
now.
was like, this is not proportional. I was like, tidying up the recruitment process. Are you serious? I was like, yeah, this is in front of the judge. It's still not over. It's being decided right now. I had a case. I had the hearing on Monday, and she said I'll be back to you in a few days. And I think she's like, fuck, there's way too much evidence here. But so he admitted that their lawyer actually admitted that he's like, yeah, he admits this was a mistake and he shouldn't have done this. And I said, no. I was like, this is fraudulent misrepresentation by definition. So anyway, but so the judge told me initially, this is while the court was still cooking, this is like in February of this year, he's like, the court doesn't have jurisdiction to hear any cases related to recruitment unless it's for discrimination. So like in the hiring process, you can't actually go to an employment tribunal unless it's for discrimination. I was like, well, I have been discriminated against. I was the best candidate for the job. They didn't give me the job. And it said, but it has to be for a protected characteristic. So it has to be because you're white
That's
or
so
because
stupid.
you're a man.
You
or
just say
because-
you have ADHD and that's it.
no, but it has to be because of race, religion, sex,
Mental
gender,
illness, yeah, some
or
sort
marital
of-
status. No, it's like it's only like 6 things. It's not other things. It could be disability, yeah. But and I was like, shit. So I started researching into the LTA is the governing body of tennis in the UK. It's called the
Oh.
Lawn Tennis Association, and they were 50% partners with the University of Aberdeen. And I found this like inclusion strategy of the LTAs, and in there it's like a 32-page document, and it's like from 2021 to 2023, but at this time it was in 2023, and
That's crazy.
that's when I would apply for the job, so it applied to then. And in the inclusion document, it was like inclusion is the core of everything we do, and it said, it literally said white male coaches are overrepresented in
That is
the
discrimination.
UK. So they're saying a white male is not underrepresented, so that means I say I'm overrepresented, which
You're
means I'm not.
discriminated against. Yeah.
No, it says that means I'm not part of their inclusion plan, and it also says
Well,
like,
that's discrimination. That's what I'm saying. It's
well, yeah.
already.
No, but it's saying like inclusion is exclusive of white heterosexual males. That's literally the strategy. It's like we're inclusive. Inclusion's at the heart of everything we do. We're going to implement minimum standards of inclusion. We're going to make sure that like a minimum number of workers are like from diverse backgrounds. And then literally at the beginning of the document it says white heterosexual males are not included in the definition of inclusion. So basically they're hijacking the definition
Exactly.
of
So they just want to
inclusion.
hire a black, obese lesbian.
Well, I didn't know about that, but
yeah, with pink hair, right?
well,
That can teach.
yeah, literally.
Exactly.
They basically want somebody from an underrepresented background, which is somebody who is either not.
By the way, I'm not saying this because I'm just saying this because in the media they just repeatedly say these things about the like mocking the gender ideology thing with Pierce Morgan.
Oh,
and
yeah,
he
yeah.
says
Yeah.
okay, identify as a as a black lesbian.
Well, yeah, basically. I mean,
woman.
she would have if it was a black. What'd you say? A black transgender or black lesbian woman. She would probably, if she had the same qualifications as me, they would have definitely given her the job. They would have definitely given.
Well, that by definition is
Discrimination.
Discrimination.
And the thing is, but they made inclusion mean something other than what it means.
Oh, that's
Inclusion
that's against
means
the law, I guess.
include everybody, not exclude white heterosexual males.
So now you're suing them as well.
Well, I tried to get them in on the lawsuit, and
That's insane,
their
man.
lawyer and the court is trying to basically. I think the judges are supposed to be objective, but I can tell the judges are they're like not one. They're very they're pushing back on my case a lot because it's not in line with kind of the mainstream narrative of the country right now. So like
And because it's too hard. It's too hard to deal with. They just
they're like,
it's
shit,
one of those
fuck.
things that it's there.
Yeah.
It's there for to help employees or
Yeah.
potential employees in your case,
Yeah.
but they really don't want to commit. They don't want to know too much about you. They just want to take this case very lightly and finish it quickly. This how these things are set up today, man. It's insane.
Yeah, they want to pay you to go away, probably.
Exactly. They just want to okay. This guy filed his whatever problem he's got in his life. Let's just fucking finish it and
Well, that's the thing. I'm debating whether to, if they might offer me a settlement if it goes that far. They might just say, hey, look, we'll pay you to shut up, and you have to sign a
don't do it, man.
non-disclosure. Or the thing is, if you go all the way to court, then, then people might go to prison, or people are gonna maybe not go to prison, but they're gonna have to come into court. The people that
Well,
made those documents fraudulently.
you have the media involved, and it's in the news. But
Yeah.
this was one of the other things I had in mind. I wanted to make a comment on. In Spain, when I came here, it was it was pretty easy for me to find a job because there's this amount of jobs
Mm.
back then that they're literally looking for people like every year because students like for example my first job here was Codonas Park.
Okay.
Um,
It's like
I'm-
a theme park. It's like a pier.
Theme
It's like a
park.
beach theme
Yeah.
park in Aberdeen.
yeah, yeah. So I almost go to court with them because they failed to pay me my holidays and stuff.
Wow.
But it is a good good work for somebody that is looking for something very quick and
Yeah.
it's not the best thing.
Mm.
But they were there when I needed a job and they offered me a job.
Yeah.
But then after they kind of fell into these like back and forth emails like okay, when I left you didn't pay me my holidays, you need to pay them.
Yeah.
And they were saying no, and I was showing them my pay slips and calculating the stuff and they were calculating it wrong, so I file a claim
Mm.
to the tribunals and they just deposit the money.
They just gave it to you.
Yeah. So I was wanting to say, so when I came here,
Cardona's deposit the money, or
yeah, they deposit
Oh,
the
yeah,
money,
yeah,
so it was over.
yeah.
But you have to insist and you have to put pressure, like legal
Yeah.
pressure, because otherwise they won't
yeah,
care.
yeah,
So when I came here, I had my best friend here. He was my food and beverage manager at the Sol Casino. It's now closed.
yeah.
So I got into the bartending world, like a mixology, and then this was my first thing when I did here. Like I never did this in Spain, and his boss told me. His boss told him, "Okay, let me see his CV. How can we improve
The
it
CV,
so he
yeah.
can apply to work here?"
Mhm.
So one of the things that he said to my friend, it is pretty weird, and it looks pretty bad that he only had jobs for 3 months in Spain. So in Spain, it's very common today that young people I don't know, young people, like maybe almost everyone, they just have a 3 month period
Mhm.
that they can say, okay, you continue with us or you don't, right?
Like a probation period.
Like
Yeah.
a probation period. But is why what they're doing? What are they doing? Is they're hiring young people, mostly under 25, and for each young people under 25 that they hire, they get grants,
Mm.
right? They get
Mhm.
money.
Mhm.
So this is a scheme that is going on in Spain right now. So you get a lot of people that are incapable of finding something useful to do in your life because you cannot stay longer than a very short period of time in your job,
Mm.
right? In my case, for example, I had one case that it was okay. I fucked it up at some at a at how you say that and some like I was feeling pretty sick and stuff, and I was always telling them like I was sick and I couldn't come. I could maybe could have come, but it was kind of rough time for me, so I was like okay, I just don't come to this job, and they told me okay, so you didn't pass the 3 months, whatever. But in general, the rest of the jobs have been like, okay, you have 3 months period, then we fire you and we hire somebody else that is gonna stay for the same period. So we get
Just to
you
get the
keep getting
incentives.
money.
Yeah. Each
So
time they hire someone new, they get like a new incentive.
yeah, so I think, so this in one hand, is very bad for somebody that's you know, trying to demonstrate like, okay, I'm responsible, right? I am an expert in what I do because I've worked in this job for 10 years,
Yeah, you can't
right?
stay in a
You
job too
cannot
long.
say that when you're coming from a place like this, you know,
Mm.
very highly touristic. For
Mm.
example, in Spain, it's not like, okay, how many architects there are in Canary Islands?
How many, like 10 maybe?
Well, more, but you know,
Yeah, how
it's
many
a
are like
number. It's
officially
not like in the
regu
UK,
Yeah.
right, or in United States. It's
Yeah.
not okay, because not only it's well, it's Canary Islands, not as part of Spain, but a as a community,
Yeah.
right? So it's very different. It's
Mm.
still Spain, but it's very different in many ways, right?
Mm.
So you have tourism, and then okay, the most stable jobs I would say in hospitality, right?
Mm.
Working for hotels and
Mhm.
stuff, and they're pretty fucking rough jobs, you know.
Mm.
They're the worst jobs
Oh
out
yeah.
there, like
You have to like,
bartending and
it's mental. You're on your feet all day
waiting.
in the sun.
Yeah,
You have to like pick up all the tables at the end of the night and bring them inside and
yeah.
like,
So it's a tough like industry, you know, bartending, waiting, you know, the food and beverage industry is,
you
you
get
know,
paid like shit,
yeah,
and you don't have like an hour. You don't get paid by the hour. You get paid by the month.
yeah.
It's like here's like you get
You're
thousand
standing
dollars a
up.
month, and then they might work you like 50 hours a week or something, getting paid 1,000 a month or something.
It's
So
insane.
yeah, it's pretty bad.
So yeah, like so yeah, by the time you're making up you're composing your CV, and you have to demonstrate, okay, I have this, you know, experience.
Mm.
Is it really an experience, or was it just fugazi? I don't know how you call it. Like, you know,
Yeah, just
you
like
just
a
crossed this restaurant once, and that's it. You
yeah.
did a few things, and that's it. You don't know really
Mm.
too much about it.
You should just
So,
lie on your CV. Just
mm,
say, I mean, if I really want a job, I'll just lie on my CV and just be like, yeah, I did this, and I'll just be like, hopefully they don't call the check.
yeah, I
Just
mean,
like,
this is a,
especially in a place like the UK, they need people that can do the job.
yeah, mm,
I shouldn't say I lie on my CV. I don't lie, but sometimes I just say like, maybe like I worked for my dad, for instance, or
mhm.
something one time, and I
You
was like
didn't.
I was like doing electrical work for as an apprentice for like 2 or 3, maybe like 2 years, maybe a year, and so I'll put that on my CV, and I wasn't an electrical apprentice, but sometimes, for instance, like dates, um, if it so here's an example of how I would lie. For instance, maybe in the last 5 years I worked
On and
in
off.
not on and off, but maybe in the last 5 years, or for instance, I had a court case with a previous employer, and I don't. There was a non-disclosure agreement that I signed and that they signed that they wouldn't disclose anything about me. I wouldn't disclose anything about them, and so I don't put them on my CV. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
like I omit them. So
Mm-hmm.
there's like a gap of like some time. Like a year that I was working at that place, I just pretend like it never happened,
Mm-hmm.
and then so I'll just move up, but I don't want people to think I wasn't employed for a year, so I'll just put like the previous restaurant. I'll just move it up a year to make
Mm-hmm.
it more recent, if that makes sense.
Can you not say the company, or can you not put dates on the company on the CV or something?
No, so like if I put, I put like dates, like when I worked there. So I'm like, oh, I worked at this company from 2022 to 2024. I worked at this company from 2021 to 2022. But say, for instance, like the company I worked at from 2020 to 2021, I had a lawsuit with them. I'm not allowed to talk about it.
But you cannot put on your CV. You
That
cannot
whole,
put that you work for them or with them.
I don't want to, because if they do contact them, I don't know what that company's going to
Ah,
say about me. I sued that. I successfully sued that company, so they're technically not supposed to say anything bad about me. But
oh,
if they do call them, I mean, you don't know what they're gonna say.
but I was gonna say exactly that because okay, if they get to know that you had a lawsuit with them,
They won't want
that's
to
gonna
hire me.
worry them because
Exactly.
obviously, okay, this guy
Yeah.
is gonna, I don't know, what did he do? We would never know because he cannot talk about it. Are we
But
gonna
yeah,
hire him? No, fuck it.
yeah, exactly,
So you're not getting hired.
exactly. So you just
Yeah.
don't. I don't want people to, when I go to a new job, I don't want them to know that I sued a previous employer for some shit, because they're not going to hire me. So, and I'm technically not allowed to speak about it. So I'm not really doing anything wrong, but I'm just moving up a previous job up a year or something like that, just so that you know, the manager of that place won't even remember. They'll say, did he work here? Yes, he did. Was he good? But hopefully if it's like off by a year or something, I'll be like, oh, maybe he got the years mixed up or something. But I still work there. But I'm just omitting that random like gap year where there's like a lawsuit there, you know. So anyway, when I say lie in your CV, I'm not saying like say you're a doctor when you're not a doctor
No,
or
no,
something
yeah.
like. But I'm saying like I'd make it. I just kind of tweak it so that it makes a bit more sense to the person looking at it. It's not
Yeah.
like, you know, I don't have to disclose certain things about my. I shouldn't have to disclose that what happened at that. I'm legally not allowed to. So I just basically just
I mean, you just
fill in the gaps.
I
You know.
just not we're doing anything or
Yeah.
whatever. Or just doing
Yeah.
a year out. I don't know.
Yeah,
Self,
maybe I was traveling. You know, people don't want to see that you take a year off traveling either because they're like, oh, maybe he just decides to go travel and go on vacation and he doesn't come back. So, but anyway, man.
No, I don't know. Time
We
for myself or something.
Yeah. Hey, it's getting quite late.
Yeah, it's
What
getting
time is
late.
it? It's probably past 11. I know I'm talking quite loud, and I think the neighbors can probably hear me. But hey, Marco,
It was
amazing first podcast. I didn't think we'd get this much content, but and I didn't even know if you would be down to do it. But thanks for coming to the Freedom Worldwide podcast.
nice.
Uh,
Thank you for the
Yeah.
invitation.
Do you? I mean, you're an artist. Do you have anything you want to share on the podcast? Do you like have any websites or channels or anything? Or
At the moment, it would be only like LinkedIn, so maybe
LinkedIn.
maybe
Okay.
later, or maybe when I set it up or something.
Okay, just seeing it. But yeah, we'll definitely. Marco's my neighbor, so I'm sure we'll have him on again. I think he's been a very interesting guest, and yeah, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks,
And
man.
yeah, I look forward to having you on again and just chilling with you in general. Now that I know you're my neighbor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, you too.
Yeah. Anything
you,
else
man.
you want to say before you go?
No, first podcast I've been on.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I in Venezuela actually with my I think it was my mom. Some people got invited into a radio
Okay.
podcast.
Cool.
It was everything about the boys, and there was this, there were these people with insane voices, like
Wow.
you speaking on the microphones. It was you see all the egg cartons on the walls. Not really egg cartons, but the
Oh, wow.
insulated.
Oh, the like acoustic panel.
I was a kid. I was, what is this room?
Wow, wow.
Now every gamer has these rooms now.
Yeah, mine's just my
Insulated.
bedroom basically. You can see my feet
Yeah.
are on my bed right now. This is my snore room. It's not my bedroom. I sleep in that room with my wife, but I get kicked out because I snore. So this is my snore room. So my podcast is in my snore room. So yeah, if I get two guests, I'll have to move my bed over there. So I don't want random people putting their feet in my bed. So I'll put my bed over there, and I'll put my feet on the bed, and then the two guests will be over here with their feet on the floor. So, but yeah, man, thanks again, and yeah, thanks so much for coming on the podcast,
Yeah.
and hopefully we can get this will encourage some other people
Yeah, of
to
course.
come on the podcast, and yeah, we don't bite, and we try and just have awesome conversations and get
Yeah.
people involved with trying to work towards a free world, hence the name Freedom Worldwide Podcast. So
Yeah.
thanks, man.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, we'll
Cheers.
we'll
See
see
you
you
guys
around.
soon.
We'll see you back on here soon, surely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be struggling for guests in the beginning. So not that you're not a good guest, but we're going to be using as
Maybe
much.
bringing some more people.
We're going to be using whoever wants to come on as much as they want to come on in
Yeah.
the beginning. And if you enjoy the experience, we'll have you back again.
Yeah.
So thanks, Marco.
Thank you. Cheers.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Bye. Freedom Worldwide.